proposed super embassy. Tuesday is the deadline. Yes, this would be the biggest embassy in Europe if approved, if Starmer bows down to Beijing, as these protesters are saying. Behind me you can see nobody wants this.
No depression at borders! We know that we have to stand up to the abuses of China. And what worries me is that we have a government right now that seems to be scared of China.
What are you doing here at the protest? That's an interesting sign you've got there. Clearly you're not a fan of our Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Why is that?
He's kowtowing to the Chinese government, right? A dictator regime.
Robert Jenrick defected to Reform yesterday. He called the Conservative Party and Kemi Badenoch a leader with no backbone. She's obviously shown up here today and done a speech. It's kind of unprecedented to have that sort of flagrant support. What did you think about her speech and her backing this?
I think any party backing our cause, like going against the building of the embassy, I'd say we welcome them.
Why are you here today?
So I'm Tibetan and I'm here to oppose the Chinese mega embassy being built here. Unfortunately, we think the UK government might allow this to happen, and I think it sends the wrong message to people who have been oppressed by the Chinese government, who are still being continuously oppressed in free countries. There are lots of Chinese decisions which are being followed by Chinese police states.
Now, we know that there are plainclothes Chinese policemen potentially in the crowd, so a lot of them want to stay anonymous, which is very understandable. Why are you here today?
Because it's very simple. It's no mega embassy, and it is absolutely unacceptable because this is a very peak area, and I don't think any one of the country they will have choose one of the peak area, prime area, and make it to their one of the I think it's the biggest embassy in Europe. So this is absolutely unacceptable.
This government is engaging with China confidently and pragmatically and challenging them where we need to. Because for our security...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side, this is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Just gone 6 o'clock. Welcome to Tuesday, the 10th of February, you lucky people. By the way, I should remember this very quickly. Boys, girls, 5 days to Valentine's Day. Don't say I didn't tell you. If you forget, you'll be in the doghouse. I'm just trying to remind myself, really. So what an amazing, shocking, just unbelievable day yesterday politically. You are waking up, of course, to Talk. It's the home of common sense and the home of alarm clock Brits. We thank you so much indeed. We told you last week this is now the radio station, the speech radio station in the UK where people listen longer because they are absolutely transfixed with what's going on in the United Kingdom. As ever, the team primed and ready to go. We'll take your voice notes, please. 0344 499 1000 and text to 87222. I'm going to tell you something specifically about text in a minute, but of course, this story, the two stories, Starmer, Andrew will not go away. Jeffrey Epstein from beyond the grave, dominating every newsstand and every newspaper and every online story. Last night, the nasal night. Do you see what I did there? He went along to the Parliamentary Labour Party meeting in the House of Commons and he told his team, I am not prepared to walk away. Every fight I've ever been in, I've won. Which is really interesting because we found an incredible piece of footage for you this morning of him punching a Lonsdale punch bag with all the might of a baked bean, which sort of falls back if you're not watching and hits him straight between the face. But on a serious note, an extraordinary day that kicked off with, I don't know, first of all, the communications director resigned, so that was two really close aides within 24 hours. We were at the Reform thing in Birmingham. We heard that Anas Sarwar, the Scottish leader, was going to stand up at 2:30 and basically say, you've got to go. Actually, let's watch this, because this was the moment. Complete silence up to 2:30 from any cabinet minister, no sign of respect. Starmer holed up in 10 Downing Street, and Sarwar stuck the knife in from Scotland. Have a watch, have a listen.
This isn't easy, and it's love without pain, as I have a genuine friendship with Keir Starmer. But my first priority and my first loyalty is to my country, Scotland. And I am not willing to sacrifice Scotland's NHS, our schools, our communities, our towns, cities, villages and islands to a third decade of an SNP ground. That's why the distraction needs to end and the leadership in Downing Street has to change.
Now, for 24 hours, there had not been the sign of a cabinet minister. There were rumours that they were holding meetings privately, working on how to get him out and an interim. But instantly Sarwar showed his hand. They all fell into line. This was straight away. This was Education Secretary, the odious Bridget Phillipson, on her. This is her on Sky, straight away after Sarwar. Have a listen.
Look, it was only 18 months ago that Keir secured a massive landslide victory for the party, secured a 5-year term to deliver that change. You know, change does take time, and we're all impatient for change to happen more quickly, including the voters. But Keir is getting on and doing that, and we as a government are getting on and delivering the change that we were elected to deliver. You know, just last week, we voted in Parliament to lift 450,000 children out of poverty through the changes that we are making. I announced our plans to roll out even more new free breakfast clubs across the country that will be a huge boost to working parents. That's what we ought to be focused on as a government. That's what people want to see. And whilst I have enormous respect for Anas, I've known him for a long time, I just profoundly disagree. I don't think this is the right approach, and I do believe Keir is the right person to lead our country.
First of all, I don't want to hear about bloody breakfast clubs, but here's the point, right? There was complete silence from the shadow cabinet, and suddenly they all fell into line. Everybody messaged within 5 minutes. That shored up his position. He then went to the Parliamentary Labour Party, and we are where we are at. We say a very good morning to Matt Vickers, Deputy Chairman of the Labour Party, the Tory Party. I'm joking. You just have sat and watched this unfold yesterday. Extraordinary day.
Well, he's still there. That's the most astonishing part. I was on a significantly less reputable channel yesterday. You know, the one we all pay for, and there was these.
Sorry, you went on the BBC.
Oh my
God!
I'm sorry.
Take that, you clown!
We had a Labour peer there, and they just had their head in the sand. They were on about, he's such a genuine man. My God, he's handed the most prestigious diplomatic post this country has to offer to a guy who is linked inseparably. Apparently, wasn't he staying at his gaff after he was convicted? After Epstein was convicted, and all of this is bypassed, all of it is overlooked. It's fine. You get yourself in there, Mandelson. You're linked up with the Labour Party, left, right and centre. He's so connected to that shadow cabinet. You don't know whether they're doing it because they're being told or because they know that their text messages are getting released next.
Well, we'll talk about Wes in a minute, but Christian's spot on. The cabinet had been silent for 24 hours, right? And they are forced to show their support. Some say threaten to sack them. I don't think he's got the balls to do that. They then show their support en masse for a Prime Minister who gave his backing to the appointment of the mate of one of the world's worst paedophiles. So the Cabinet are now absolutely ensconced in all of this. It's ridiculous. And listen, I think the reason they rode back, I think the reason we are at where we're at, and I'd love your take on this, is because none of them are ready, right? We'll talk about, I have to talk about Wes in a minute. Angela, we'll talk about her website. She's not ready. She's had her hair done, but she's not ready. She's still got the HMRC thing. Lammy, Milliband. You haven't had a word from Millipede, have you? Let's talk about Wes Streeting. I've spoken to him loads, not recently, and it is pretty obvious how ambitious he has always been. He's been it's been said in many newspapers that he's the one that's been digging. He's the one that's been digging. But he rode in with his support behind the rest of the cabinet. And then this extraordinary thing on Sky where he basically, because Mandelson's his mentor, came out and said, I'm publishing and releasing all my text messages. I've got it. This is a toe-curling clip. If you can't watch this on YouTube, just imagine a man blinking profusely and very sweaty around the neck area. This is the excellent Beth Rigby. Have a watch.
There is a lot of genuine intimacy here and friendship. You know, Wes to you, to Peter, great pitch, lovely photos in the time Peter sends you a kiss. There's well done on the BBC. This is Peter Mandelson to you in June 25. I'm literally reading them as I go along. Well done on the BBC, very good kiss. Are you planning to visit the US this year? You hope so, exclamation mark, kiss. Are you embarrassed by that? I mean, that's quite an intimate friendship, isn't it?
No, look, an intimate friendship. With Peter Mandelson, look, I'm very happy to...
But there are dozens and dozens of messages here.
And people will be able to read them.
They certainly will. Now, before we get serious, we are going to make a rule today on the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show and Talk. If you'd like to send us a text, 87222, do as ever start your message with the word talk. But I want intimacy with my audience of 11, OK? I want intimacy. So I'd like a kiss. It doesn't mean anything. Just send me a kiss, male, female, whatever you want. Just send me a kiss. I won't take it the wrong way, because, let's be honest, we all put kisses on the end of text, don't we, darling Matty?
Thankfully, I've never had a text from Peter Mandelson, so I can't tell you what would come with it. But it was
actually, if you send a voice note, finish your voice note with the word kiss at the end. Let's have a right laugh today, shall we? Put me in the right mood.
I mean, it was a bizarre... What, within an hour of each other, all of a sudden, all of these cabinet ministers come out and say, oh, we love you, Keir. But I think when you get to that point as a Prime Minister, that you're telling them all they've got to go out. You can imagine the WhatsApp message, get out there, lads, tell them, you all love me, don't you?
Why are you doing your thumbs like that?
That's my typing.
Oh, is it? OK, that's very weird.
It's like the bill, isn't it? But I think when you get to that point as a Prime Minister or as a Chief Whip where you're desperately telling everybody, get out there, you've got to tweet and tell them all how much you love me, you've reached the bottom.
But let's force this issue on about Wes. This isn't... I'm just being factual. He sat there with Beth Rigby blinking and sweating and looking really uncomfortable. He has often described Mandelson as his mentor. There is no doubt this guy has been plotting. And what was really interesting is he says that as he was doing a television interview, criticising Sawar and agreeing with Starmer, that Number 10 were being told that he'd been on the phone to the Scottish leader. So, I mean, they are rats fighting in a sack, aren't they? And Wes Streeting, I'm going to make a prediction, send me a text with a kiss. I think Starmer will sack Wes Streeting.
I think for anybody at home who couldn't see that footage, that man looks so uncomfortable. He'll have needed a new shirt at the end of that. He was sweating profusely.
Why has he released them? That to me is preemptive, isn't it?
The other thing is you've got to look at the evidence with the Mandelson thing on Wednesday. So Kemi took Keir to task on Wednesday, forced him into releasing stuff. And there was a whole squabble going on with exemptions. Oh, well, if it's got national security, you would never release anything that was a threat to us.
Of course you wouldn't.
Or if it embarrasses, us in front of international parties. Well, I mean, what are they trying to hide? But has he released all these things in order to only have to release what he needed to release? Because this thing is going to bite him on the backside. When his website gets up and running, his Wes for Leader, Away with Wes thing kicks off.
Tony says Wes Streeting just ended his career too yesterday. He's got no chance of being Prime Minister now, has he? Let's be frank.
Sometimes it's better to shove out the door that you want out the door before it becomes a problem. And I think yesterday was about damage limitation. He doesn't want to get into this leadership campaign and then it all come flooding out and then him have to produce these texts. So part of it might have been about getting this stuff out the door now.
But Beth Rigby literally says to him, there's this huge array of texts, kiss, 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 kiss. And he just went, I don't like Peter Mandelson at all. I really regret meeting Peter Mandelson. But all of these people who keep saying they regret meeting Peter Mandelson, right? They knew what this guy was like. It's all the people bitching about Epstein. You know, Fergie, Andrew, these people. You met him and did business with him after he's released for trafficking children, you sick bunch of idiots. And it's coming back and biting you on the backside. We'll talk royals later as well. But for me, you've now got a lame duck Prime Minister surrounded by a cabinet who back a man who backed a friend of a paedophile. You've got mutinous Labour MPs. You're an MP. When he goes there last night to the PLP, I'm getting to this, PLP, Parliamentary Labour Party. Do they swallow that? They said he went in very fiercely and everybody slapped the desk and everything. I don't believe that for a moment. We had Carl Turner on yesterday who said it's not good.
Yeah, but they bring out the seals, don't they? They get the loyalists in who are going to do the table thumping and they make so much noise. The people at the back who came in all full of energy, ready to kick off, bottled it. I mean, the Labour Party is not one for standing on its morals and standing up to people, is it? When you look at the stuff, these MPs who are supposed to stand up to him and bring him down because he's a rotter, actually, they've walked through lobbies and voted to cut pensioners' winter fuel off. They've voted for the family farm tax. They've voted to batter local businesses with these huge increases in national insurance.
So Dave Mottram's right. They don't really care. It's just keeping their jobs.
That's it. Yeah, Turkish aren't going to vote for Christmas.
So basically, all that's going to happen here is they are going to do whatever they feel they need to do to keep the jobs. Morning, Paula.
Morning, Jeremy. Have a great show. Paula from London. Kiss, kiss.
Brilliant. OK, can I just... Sorry. OK, this is... it's 6:15. We're live across the UK on Talk. Thank you for tuning in, all 11 of you. That's a lie. Can I just say, this is all about Wes Streeting this morning. He released his text messages between him and Mandelson, and there were hundreds, and everyone's quite intimate. I mean, we don't... I mean, I'm just going to say it, and Christian will probably... His finger will hover over the button. I don't think there were any pictures involved, but there's a lot of text messages with kiss, kiss, kiss. Do you send kisses on you? I mean, if you're like... I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, a colleague. So, Esther McVeigh, would you put a kiss?
You never know. You never know.
You never know.
If you worked alongside Peter Mandelson...
If I worked alongside Peter Mandelson, would I put a kiss on a text? No, I'd probably wear a suit of armour, if I'm being completely honest, because I'd be terrified. Do you know, the thing is, I mean, I just... One of the things that came out of the show yesterday was, how deep does this go? How many people, not just with the political side, the royal side, how many establishment figures, Matty, seriously, are or can be implicated in this? Because this is extra. I mean, people will say, why are you still talking about it? Because it's the only bloody story in town, isn't it?
Well, I think when you look at the Wes Streeting thing, I think I don't know Wes Streeting particularly well, but what I do know of him, he was very, very linked to Peter Mandelson. His partner worked for... Well, you saw it all over Twitter.
Didn't his partner stand against you?
So his partner stood against me in the election.
Did you batter him?
We annihilated. He was meant to win. He was meant to win.
Oh, was he? So it was a shot.
He should have won. But when all the polls would have had him win. But actually, when you look at the situation, so he worked for Peter Mandelson. Right. But then you saw the edits on Twitter of him parliamentary assistant to Peter Mandelson, and then overnight, all of a sudden, it was parliamentary assistant. All these pictures that they have of them out and about all start disappearing.
Was Mandelson? I mean, people always say about Mandelson, he's the kingmaker. Was he a pro Wes? Because I mean, the other thing is in those messages. Can we point this out as well to everybody waking up this morning? It slagged off Starmer, it slagged off Reeves, and he still sat in the cabinet this morning. They're all after each other's jobs, man.
Well, what was it? No plan for growth. Like, the economy's... Tell us a new one. It's a Labour government that's trashing our
morning,
economy.
Lee. Morning.
Morning, Jezza. Lee from Newcastle. Today's predictions. Streeting will be gone. If not today, tomorrow. Hopefully, followed not too long later by Starmer and the rest of his lousy cabinet. Anyway, miss you, love you, bye.
It's all getting a bit intimate. If you're just tuning in, if you text today, 87222, if you call a voice note, 0344 499 1000, following in the Wes Streeting, it's fine to send kisses and intimacy to everybody. I want to feel intimate with my audience. Wanting to Alan in Middlesbrough, I feel a bit icky in my throat. Morning, Jez. The coincidence of all cabinet ministers falling into line at the same time reads like Starmer threatening to call a general election if they don't publicly pledge their support of him. It stinks. Cash before country. Miss you. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
The Borough, Middlesbrough, around the corner from me.
Up the
We've got
Borough?
all the Northerners on this morning.
This is Trev from Boston, an alarm clock Brit. There is absolutely no point sending a message to the Jeremy Carr show, as none of my previous messages have been read out. Kiss, kiss. Well, there you are, Trevor. Very good morning to you. Jeff Brewer. Morning, JK. The only thing that can save the Labour Party is the man in Manchester, Burnham, says Jeff. Many people feel that. If Starmer is not prepared, says Howard, to walk away, we'll have to carry him out horizontally, said Howard in Suffolk. Howard, you didn't send me a kiss. I feel quite upset by the whole thing. Hello to David. Starmer threatened to call an election, so the Cabinet realised they'd be out of a job. Now, this is very interesting. Backbenchers will look at their email in trays and wonder what, if their jobs are going to work, and that's why they would sometimes say. But the Cabinet, implicated for backing a man who backed a man of a Peter, right? What does it say about the Cabinet? I said yesterday, is he that small-minded, Starmer, that he'd throw his toys out the pram and go, right, if you get rid of me, I don't even know what I've done that voice. If you get rid of me, I'm going to call a general election and he'll all be out of a job. Do you think he has it in him to threaten them that way? Because it's really interesting.
I think it's the biggest sign of desperation when a Prime Minister threatens. That it always comes out as a line and then they deny it and it's like a... But actually, when you see all this going on, you've got to get right back to the heart of the story. This is a man who put Peter Mandelson in the most prestigious diplomatic office in the country despite knowing how close he was to Epstein, hadn't he stayed at his gaff whilst after he'd been covered?
In his pants.
Utterly sick and disgusting, and it should never have been allowed. But by the sounds of it, Peter Mandelson's tentacles are so wrapped in the Labour Party.
How, mate? How?
Because he's linked, you know, we talked about his links to West Street. He seems to be linked to every Labour cabinet member. He's got so many links to so many people in all the right places. And as a result, blind eye turned, the entire thing overlooked, and in you come. Take the job, buddy. It's utterly insane.
Here's a question for you as the vice chair of the Tory party. I believe, this is my opinion, not necessarily talks, that Peter Mandelson will go to prison. I absolutely believe that. Do you think, I hate the phrase, but do you think he'll squeal? And I'm being completely honest. Because if he is as implicated or wrapped up in the fabric of the Labour Party as many are led to believe, I mean, we could talk about the whole thing crashing down.
Well, you've got his house getting searched. I mean, the other thing that's bizarre about this is how long these people have got away with this.
Yeah, precisely.
You know, you look at if it hadn't been for the Epstein thing unfolding on such a length and all these files being released, like, how long is it since Prince Andrew was actually involved in this? How long is it since Mandelson was engaged in leaking national information, sensitive information from the government, and he's giving it away?
This is 2008. And those, by the way, a really good point, mate. Those are the messages that we've seen on the Epstein files. What about what he said? We'll get on to Andrew later, but one of the big things from the show yesterday was people going, how long has this gone on? How many parts of the establishment are implicated, right? And what does this say about... I hate the phrase elitism, but the feeling in this country right now of you know, the silent majority have had enough. This just exacerbates that, because they're going to go... Because you look at Epstein and the whole saga and you go, presidents, princesses, dukes... Prime ministers. We had the thing yesterday. One of the things suggests a British Prime Minister allegedly had a threesome with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, I'm not saying people don't have threesomes, right? Except for Christian and me, because they're too busy working. That didn't sound right, Christian and me. But you know what I'm saying? And you think this tawdry affair, how much of a cover-up is it?
Well, I mean, the fact that the royal family are amongst it, senior members of the government at the time. Remember, this guy who'd been sacked twice, Mandelson, had been sacked over the loan stuff, he'd been sacked over dishing out passports, and then to go on, and we find out all this was going on at the same time. Back in 2008, nearly 2 decades ago.
Do you think he'll squeal if he's brought down?
I think he probably will. I think he probably is a rat.
And therein lies the moment, in my humble opinion. Morning, Sarah.
Morning, Jezza. Morning, Matt. I have no major point to make other than kiss, kiss, kiss. Great show.
Brilliant. Richie's in Grimsby. Kiss, kiss. Honestly, this is getting a bit uncomfortable. You're no friend of mine, Rich in Grimsby, but you can send me kisses. I'm just doing my West Streeting impression. Morning, Jez. If you want to get intimate with me, it's going to cost you a pint. Preferably a pub that Labour's barred from. Brilliant. Now I'm being asked out on dates by men at 6:22 in the morning. Yvonne's in Somerset. What a bunch of clowns and cowards, says Yvonne. Sent me 3 kisses. And Martin Tweedle. Isn't that a great name? Tweedle. No, he's not dumb. Starmer says he's won every fight. Why has he made 14 bleeding U-turns then? It's true, isn't it? And it just feels so uncomfortable. Morning, Jez, it's Rachel. I definitely think Keir Starmer will sack Wes Streeting, so do I. A rat will eat another rat at the end of the day. Loving the show. Lots of kisses. Morning, Jezza. I'm getting a heart from Susan. What a bunch of two-faced snivelling creeps we have as a government. What did he bribe them with? Love ya. Brilliant. OK, so we've had love and marriage offers and kisses. It's all very good. If you're waking up this morning, this story... the government story, the royal story, it's all back to Epstein. But yesterday evening, our leader, the leader of this country, Sir Keir Starmer, rushed down to the Commons, faced up to his backbenchers and said, I've never backed down in a fight from my life. I'm not prepared to walk away. And every fight I've ever been in, I've won. There was silence from the Cabinet until the Scottish Labour leader, Samwar, asked for, demanded that Starmer went. Cabinet row into position, and then it's all on Wes Streeting, and we know wants to be Prime Minister, suddenly pops up on Sky News going, I thought I'd publish my intimate messages with Peter Mandelson because I want to be transparent. I wish I'd never met him. Kiss, 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 kiss. No pictures, but kiss, 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 kiss. So, just as a bit of fun, because it's Tuesday and we're all stressed, if you'd like to send a text this morning, 87222, I demand kisses. If you send voice notes, 0344 499 1000, I demand loving messages. I want you to be intimate. Is Wes Streeting messaged? Oh, yeah, sure. Morning, Karen.
Morning, Jez. Morning, Matt. Karen from Newcastle. Wes Streeton's up to his eyes in it, isn't he, really? Who sends texts like that with loads of kisses on every text and he can't get out of it? I'm going to give you guys 2 kisses because you're handsome guys.
So in the time that Labour have been here, more people have come illegally, young men, fighting age men, men that do not share our culture have come to our country, and we are now facing a situation where our army is smaller than the amount of illegal migrants that have come here under this Labour government. Any government can smash those gangs, any government can turn back those boats. Again, it is about the will of the government to do it. It can be done. They've done it in Italy, they've done it in Australia. We can do it here.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 6:28. It's Tuesday morning, the 10th of February. You're waking up to Talk Breakfast. My name's Jeremy Kyle, and of course, this is the home of Common Sense. It's the home of the alarm clock Brit and this story, the Epstein story, how it implicates so many politically. We'll talk about the Duke of York later, but front page of the Mail has it all. Cabinet bounced into giving the PM a stay of execution last night. Ministers finally back Starmer after 24 hours of silence. Markets wobble as the Scottish Labour chief says go now. And rival Wes Streeting locked in a briefing. I'm sorry, I've got to go back to Wes Streeting. Front page of the Telegraph. Streeting accused of Number 10 coup. Starmer clings on after briefings war, with insiders at Number 10 saying, who knows who's behind this? But his name rhymes with Les Wheating. Sorry, are we actually, honestly, Les Wheating? Honestly, it says that. He said, I mean, honestly, even I could work that out. Can we go back to Wes Streeting? The preemptive thing of I'm releasing, you know, that sort of interview with Beth Rigby, sort of teary eyes. These are my messages, and they are intimate, but I think he's a vile human being, Peter Mandelson. You didn't last June. OK, but you do now. Is he has he finished? Do you think this does for him, or do you think, I mean, there's reports in newspapers this morning that he spoke to Sanwar on Saturday, and that's why the Scottish leader did what he did, and I suspect, if that's true, they would have thought that other cabinet ministers would have fallen into line. That hasn't happened. So if it is true, is he a busted flush now?
So he's had his website registered, hasn't he, since November. He's ready to go. He's waiting. He's got a website. The next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. But actually, I think this, because he is linked to Peter Mandelson. All of the gossip is that he is very, very friendly with Peter Mandelson, or was very, very friendly with Peter Mandelson. So I think he's probably in a very difficult position. He's ready to press go, take the job. But actually, the thing that's come out to bite Keir on the backside is definitely going to bite him on the backside. He's released all these text messages. Has he released all of the text messages? Because what you see on Wednesday, you saw Starmer flip-flopping around on Wednesday, trying to avoid releasing all the documents from this vetting process, trying to find the one that means he can hide one or two of them here or there. He was about to send MPs, Labour MPs were going to walk through that lobby to try and exempt some of this material from publication on Wednesday. They negotiated, they squirmed, they squirreled, and in the end they had to come to this conclusion. Have we seen everything that's been said between Streeton and Mandelson? Who knows?
Listen, and then, of course, you've got the other players. Our Ange, who had a makeover yesterday. She had the old hair done. Her website also went live. This is after she gave the PM a full support. The domain name Angela for Leader was registered with the same firm as her parliamentary website. So she says this. I had nothing to do with it. I'm going to sue the person. It's fake news. Fake news. But actually, the domain name Angela for Leader was registered with the same firm as her parliamentary site.
Is it right? She still hasn't paid the tax yet. I hear. Perhaps she's paying for the website with the cash that we're all owed in the HMRC.
Maybe she paid half of the money owed to HMRC with the ridiculous payment she got sent for being sacked for not paying HMRC.
Well, that's the other big thing about the Mandelson story, isn't it?
55 grand.
55,000. I mean, that is an utter disgrace. The government should be back there doing whatever it takes to get out.
Don't start on me.
Completely
Don't start on me, because then Hugh Edwards will come out of my mouth.
Well,
he's getting 200 grand a year. It's a disgrace. And can I say, actually, for the normal, hard-working Brit, we're sitting covering the stories that are dominating. And in the meantime, people are still going to work. Their food shopping is going up. Their energy bills are going up. Their public services are rubbish, right? And we've still got a country that's being, I'm afraid, infiltrated by people who shouldn't be here. And that's a fact. And none of this is being done because the spotlight, quite rightly, is on this mess. And you wonder how long this can go on for, because it's a shambles. It's a shambles.
I mean, we pay more in tax than ever before. We've got less police on the streets. Even more than under
you lot.
We've got less police on the street.
Even less than under you lot.
Even more, well, exactly. That's an interesting point.
I'm helping you.
Well, you're paying more tax. Three things put tax up. I keep saying this. Three things put tax up: wars, pandemics, and
Rachel
Labour
Reeves.
Governments.
Yeah.
We're paying more than ever before. Yeah. There are less police on the streets. We aren't spending what we need to on defence to keep this country safe. The only people better off are the people who don't go to work. It's utterly shambolic.
Morning, Matt. Morning, Jezza. Oh, yeah, love the show. I believe that my two German shepherds could do a better job running this country than the present numpties. Love and sloppy kisses from M.
Sloppy kisses?
Don't start.
Messy.
Listen, you're going to have a cheap Valentine's Day, aren't you? He hasn't got anybody in his life.
Do you know what? You shouldn't say. Do you know what happens when you say this on this show?
What?
I end up getting more than kisses in my inbox. Sometimes it can be very graphic. And the guys in the office have to open some of this stuff.
Graphic what?
Well, you get sent things that aren't kisses.
Really?
Oh, yeah, Instagram.
Really?
It's a naughty thing.
Really? So I've actually helped your love life?
You could say that.
What, you've never replied to any of them?
I'll show you the images afterwards.
No, I don't want you to show me the images,
You tell
please.
me whether you helped me or hindered
Should we
my
do
love
an
life?
interview while you cry and go, I didn't know any of these girls, but I want to show you these messages anyway. Oh, Christ. Mark in Croydon says, I'm not sending any kisses today. I'm saving them for Poppy tomorrow.
Oh.
He doesn't like you. Jason, morning, Jace. Rodney, the Prime Minister, is a total idiot. Labour has broken the whole of the UK and the UK has gone to the dogs. Sack the lot of them, take it to the King immediately. Oh, please. Dave is going to say what I hate. Morning, Jez. I want to know who really pushed for Mandelson to be the ambassador. I can't believe McSweeney had that much influence. Missing you on already. Where's my breakfast club? With a kiss. Morning, JK. Wes Streeton, the Cabinet and the entire Labour Party are a disgrace by supporting Starmer. This will cost them votes. Enjoying the show. It's a really interesting thing. Let's bring it on to the other main news of all. And this, I mean, again, I'm afraid, Epstein linked. The royal family. I was quite strong about this at the beginning of the show. I'd love your take on this. I sort of... I'm a royalist, but I think there will be an increasing clamour for more than the royal family had done, because I think the critics of the royal family, and I know the King wants to modernise it, are going to start saying, seriously, if this bloke can allegedly have done what he's done and be allowed to be pampered and live in luxury whilst the rest of us are struggling, it's a bloody disgrace. In the middle of the show yesterday, ahead of them landing in Riyadh, the Prince of Wales, they released a statement, Kate and William, saying that they were devastated and shocked and horrid, and it was about the victims. And then late last night, which was interesting, on the back of it turning out that Andrew might well have also shared secrets in his role as a trade envoy to Epstein, Jesus Christ, the King finally broke cover last night and said, I have profound concern over the allegations against Andrew, and the palace is ready to work with the police. That's a massive, massive thing. You're talking about him saying you can come and arrest my brother and I won't stand in your way, which is really, really interesting. I believe he's also implicated. I also, and you'll laugh at me, if he's given secrets, he should be treated exactly the same as Peter Mandelson.
I think when you see what's
really
gone on,
believe that.
It's absolutely devastating when you think of what happened to these women at the hands of Epstein and co. And then the fact that our royal family can be linked to it, the fact that senior members of our government can be linked to this vile, awful, depraved stuff is heartbreaking. But it's also it's devastating for the country that our royal family. I mean, what the hell would the Queen have thought of this?
Well, you see, I'm going to give you the other side of the argument, which it's only been a week that I listened to Kinsey on this. He's on in a bit, and other people. Andrew Loney will be on later, and Robert Jobson, all of them. They're all starting to say, I think understandably, what did she think the 12 million quid was for? There's no doubt that the Queen was an incredible human being. I loved her, the nation loved her. He was her soft touch, Andrew, for reasons that I have my own beliefs, but that's not for broadcast, right? She forgave him, turned a blind eye. The problem now is the problem of Andrew, as it's called. How long have they known? How much have they covered up? Is it enough to come out and say, you know what? I'm really sorry for the victims, but if you've known your brother's a douchebag, frankly, for the last 15 years, why didn't you come out before? That's the issue. So I think you'll see more and more from the royal family.
I think any human being on planet Earth should be giving any piece of information over they have, regardless of who they are. I find it hard to suggest the Queen.
No, I'm going to... Mate, my dad worked for the royal family for 41 years. I'm more royalist than you'll ever be. But what did she think the 12 million was for?
Well, true. But I mean, would you even think that somebody could be hooked up?
He probably lied to her and said it's some horrible woman who's making allegations. I thought it was a massage. It turned out to be more than that. Yeah. It was as intimate as Wes. No, I don't mean that. But 12 million quid is 12 million quid. And it is known in royal circles that she was soft on Andrew. Listen, I am the biggest fan of the Queen and I want the monarchy to survive. But I do think we're at a seminal moment. And I think the fact that the Prince of Wales and Charles yesterday broke cover, and the King especially stands ready to support the police probe into his brother, is a massive,
we have to get to a point where there could be no doubt about the fact that the King is on board with this and willing to hand over anything that is required to this, because the people tied up in this sick, vile, depraved stuff with Epstein have to be held to account. Nobody can get in the way of it.
I find it weird as well. I mean, weird's probably the wrong word. That nobody's thought to think how much of the royal family known for 15 years. This goes back to something that I said at the beginning of the show. Lots of people texting us yesterday. Do you know what the first 3 texts were when the royal family broke ranks? They went, still nobody talking about the child rape gang inquiry then. And it's true.
It's
one of the biggest things about the child rape gang inquiry, which I think is a stain on us, right, is that nobody seems to want to come up with a national inquiry. And I'm not having a go at you personally. It could have been done years ago by the Tory government. It could have been done by the Labour government. No, it could. And then you get questions, and it's not even conspiratorial, which is how many people are also implicated in that? And it's frightening, and that's what people are starting to ask.
There can be no excuses for delays on the grooming gang thing. The big argument, it was released that it affected 50 towns, nearly 2 years ago?
Yep.
And the thing is still being kicked down the line. But then the other part of this is, we talk about why aren't these people standing up to this Prime Minister? These people these Labour MPs walked through lobbies to deny a grooming gangs inquiry. It wasn't like, we haven't done anything about it because we didn't know. They actively walked through a lobby and said, no, we're going to vote against a national inquiry into grooming gangs. There's no wonder they're bending over to this Mandelson stuff and Starmer. It's utterly appalling.
How far do you think it goes, the Epstein stuff, seriously? Politically, royally, as high as it can go?
Well, I mean, if we didn't have the evidence, if we didn't have the fact, if somebody had said the ambassador to the US was involved with Epstein, if you didn't actually have the files, if it wasn't there as a fact, you would think it was some nutty conspiracy theory.
Yep.
The fact the royal family is involved, that Prince, you just would have thought that's got to be rubbish. You'd think it was the stuff of conspiracy theory that you see on weird wacky YouTube channels. It's real, it's facts. there's evidence, it's gone on. And how much further can it go?
20 to 7, you're waking up on Tuesday morning to the dulcet tones of Matt Vickers, Deputy Chairman of the Tory Party, on the Talk Breakfast Show. Loads going on. I mean, basically, Starmer's holed up in number 10. He managed to convince the Cabinet to back him. Wes Streeting saying, please look at my messages to Mandelson. They're not intimate. I still want to be Prime Minister. They're covered in kisses. No images, apparently, but he's up for it. Angela had a website that went live, and she went, I support the Prime Minister. Why have you got a website saying Angela for leader, then? On the same as your parliamentary website. It's nothing to do with me. It's extraordinary. Here's a question before we go to a break. Anas Samwar stood up yesterday and said, I want Keir Starmer to go. Here's a question for you, Matt Vickers. He's already been told that he's so toxic politically, don't come to Scotland. How can the Scottish Labour Party even fight the Scottish elections when the leader in Scotland has told the national leader he needs to resign? How could they even go in front of the electorate in Scotland?
I think you get to a bizarre place, don't you? I mean, whose manifesto is it now for the MSPs? What's the direction? Who's running the show?
He's smiling his backside off this morning,
It's a car
Vickers.
crash. It is an utter car crash.
Everything's a car crash right now, isn't it?
It's an utter disaster.
All right, morning, Jess. I can't wait to see that Starmer get the boot. Paul from Hull with 3 kisses. Pete says, still nobody can tell us why Starmer was awarded a knighthood. What did he do to get the award? Don't start. Morning, Toad.
Good morning, Jez. Tony from Worcester. Got a serious case of man flu today. I'm feeling heroic. I'm still in work, driving to Wales. I've coughed and sneezed a couple of times, but I'm still in the game, mate. As with regards to Mr. Starmer, he's got to go, hasn't he? But with this Labour lot, there's nobody decent to replace him. Anyway, have a good day. And oh yes, mwah! Love you, Jez.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just gone. What is this? Almost 7:15. It's Tuesday morning. You're with the Talk Breakfast Show, the home of common sense and the home of alarm clock Brits. Morning, Matty.
Good morning, Jezza. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Matt from Warrington. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Yeah, I watched it all unfold last night. So we got them all in. The whips went round, scared the pants off them because they had a good look at each other and realised there's no one here fit to run our country. So we're going to have to wait another 2 weeks and wait till Denton and Gorton crash to the floor. Anyway, have a great show, Jezza. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Love you. Bye.
Stop. It's funny, though. I love the fact that people get involved. If you are waking up going, why is everybody messaging him with kiss kisses? Is he that vulnerable? No, this is because yesterday, Health Secretary Wes Streeting, who seems to be accused by 10 Downing Street of the coup, this is brilliant. I have to keep doing this. Starmer clings on after briefings war with insiders saying, who knows who's behind this? But I think their name rhymes with Les Wheating. Brilliant, well done. That's just the worst thing I've ever heard. Anyway, Wes Streeting then appeared later on, rather sadly. Can we play this again? I think it's brilliant. With Beth Rigby, the excellent Beth Rigby on Sky, and said, there are some intimate messages that I've sent to Peter Mandelson, but it means absolutely nothing. I hate him. Have a watch, have a listen.
There is a lot of genuine intimacy here and friendship. You know, Wes to you, to Peter, great pitch, lovely photos in the time Peter sends you a kiss. There's well done on the BBC. This is Peter Mandelson to you in June 25. I'm literally reading them as I go along. Well done on the BBC, very good kiss. Are you planning to visit the US this year? You hope so, exclamation mark, kiss. Are you embarrassed by that? I mean, that's quite an intimate friendship, isn't it?
No, look, an intimate friendship. With Peter Mandelson, look, I'm very happy to...
But there are dozens and dozens of messages here.
And people will be able to read them.
Squirming.
It's the sheepish nod, isn't it? And he's dying on the inside.
Dying. Hello, Jez. Hello, Matt. Keir Starmer has finished it with no credible replacement. Quite frankly, Larry the Cat would be a better option. Crystal, a very good morning to you. Right, 6:45. Doing this all the time at the moment because unbelievable. The other side of the Epstein story is the royal one across to Los Angeles, California. And say a very good morning to the legend that is Kinsey Schofield. Hello, darling.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Oh, God,
Happy
honestly.
Valentine's Day.
What? Oh, thank you. Could Matt Vickers, who's with us, is single and is not getting any Valentine's action at all. Could you maybe send Matty a kiss?
Absolutely. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Hello.
Look, he's absolutely hamstrung. He doesn't know what to say. I love it. Kinsey, we spoke yesterday morning at 6:45. At that point, we were both, I think, saying that the royal family might well come under pressure to say something, that this was engulfing them, and we're both royalists. At about 9 o'clock, ahead of his visit to Riyadh, the Prince and Princess of Wales office announced that they were thinking of the victims. We thought that might, later on, you'd finish, but we were wondering on the show later on whether that might bounce the King and Buckingham Palace into more. And last night it happened. King Charles yesterday evening said he stands ready to support any police investigation into his disgraced brother Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Thames Valley Police are assessing emails that Andrew shared with Epstein whilst he was a trade envoy. And the King has made it clear in words and through unprecedented actions his profound concern at the allegations, while the specific claims are for Mr Mountbatten Windsor to address. If we as a palace are approached by Thames Valley Police, we stand ready to support them as you would expect. That's pretty seismic, isn't it?
Well, I have to ask your opinion here because we kind of went head to head yesterday when I said I felt like they had done enough in November of 2025, and you disagreed with me. You said that was not what the tone was in the UK, and you felt that there needed to be some stronger support for the victims. You felt like never complain, never explain was not the appropriate route here. And so do you feel good about what you've seen over the last 24 hours? Is it enough for you? Or do you need to hear more from the royal family? Because I'm also seeing complaints that this looks like the royal family just trying to, a PR opportunity for the royal family, a crisis PR move by the royal family, and not something that is sincere.
It's a really great question. The thing is, the royal family, I think we talked yesterday about the Queen when Diana sadly died, and the Queen stuck at Balmoral with the grandchildren, didn't come down. And eventually the feeling in the country was, you've got to come and speak. We need to hear from our monarch. I feel the same, perhaps not with the same intensity. I think it's different this time. I think William jumped quickly. I think his father had to follow suit. The critics will say, this is a PR exercise. Let's just remember the reason this story's moved as well, Kins, is that actually we're now talking about a potential member of the royal family having passed trade secrets to the world's most notorious paedophile. And if Peter Mandelson, the ex-US ambassador, who seems to be at the centre of everything politically here, if he's going to face the full wrath of the law as he should, then I believe Andrew Mountbatten Windsor should. The problem that the royal family might have, and you know me, I repeat and I'll say every day I'm a royalist, is the one question that everybody keeps saying to me is this: so how long have they covered up for the problem that is Andrew? How long have they known? the depth of what he did. Are you telling me that courtiers, security officers, close protection security officials, did they know about girls being trafficked by Epstein to Buckingham Palace? Nobody's blaming the Queen, but I do think, sadly, I think this is a big move. But I'm not sure what the British public in their entirety will say. Do they want more? Do they want the royal family to say, yes, we've been shielding this guy? I think the King's an honest man and he wants to deal with it, but I think the pressure will stay there. Will this alleviate it a little bit? Hopefully. Hopefully.
Well, I think that there will be a lot of questions asked about why the British government has blocked Andrew Lowney's pursuits of some records involving Andrew's time when he was Britain's trade envoy. They said that it wasn't of public interest and it wasn't, you know, that's why they didn't share these schedules. And he asked for, I mean, as far as I can understand, as far as I know, it's like flight logs, and he just wants to know who he met with and when and why they were meeting. And that was blocked. So I think that the British government, I'm not saying that anyone protected Andrew, but perhaps they should reassess that decision not to give Andrew Lowney those documents.
I think I agree with you. I think Andrew Lowney has been vociferous. When he came out and was talking in his book, you know, The Fall of the House of York, and he was denied this, he was pilloried. He was absolutely pilloried about what he said about the ex-Duke of York. It's turned out that he's absolutely spot on. I just feel a bit like the political scenario here. I just don't think it's going to go away. I don't know if there's anything that can save Keir Starmer, hopefully not. And I don't think there's anything at this moment that the royal family... I couldn't say, if you definitively do that, King Charles, that'll take it away. I think this is such an appalling story and it goes so deeply. And I didn't know if I asked you this yesterday, but this Epstein creature, you know, you think the Crown Princess of Norway had sent him letters saying, I love you. Prime ministers, dukes, members of royal families, the most successful business people in the world, Bill Gates. I mean, it is pictures on his island of Mick Jagger, Sir Richard Branson. I can't get over how this guy's tentacles, how his power started or where it came from. Was he an agent for the Russians? I don't know. It's just the most extraordinary story that will not go away. But from the royal family's point of view, I think people need to know how long they've been sweeping this under the carpet. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that you and I do agree that King Charles did not know the extent of how horrible this was going to get. No. Otherwise, I think that Andrew would have been gone after the death of Queen Elizabeth, very quickly after she passed away. And so I think he's as mortified as we are. I do think deep down this is a man that has a good heart. And, you know, when we talk about his past transgressions, it was with one woman who he married who is now Queen Camilla. So I do want to defend him in this department. I especially think Prince William wasn't aware of some of the things that he's accused of doing. And, you know, it's just kind of the comfort with Epstein. It's vulgar. It's, you know, you are who you associate with, and they were just way too comfortable with each other. I completely agree. I also want to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. This is her yesterday, head of at a congressional disposition yesterday. She utterly refused to answer a question, pleaded the fifth. Have a watch.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly declare and affirm, under the penalty of perjury, that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the US Constitution.
Kinsey, can I ask you a question? I interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no sympathy for her. I believe that she was part of this in a massive way. She's the only person in jail. When you look at the names of people implicated, I hope they go after everybody when the dust settles, because I'm not sticking up for Ghislaine Maxwell, but it does seem that she's the only one in prison right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was their solution to try to make this go away quickly, throw her in the slammer. But the House Oversight Chairman, James Comer, did say that her refusal was deeply disappointing. He said that the committee had planned to question her about the crimes committed alongside Jeffrey Epstein, whether others were involved. They wanted to ask her about some of the people, the names we've seen released throughout these files. And according to her attorney, Maxwell says there is a straightforward path to hearing her side of the story, clemency from President Trump. And her attorney argued that only then would she be willing to speak fully and honestly. But I will say what I thought was interesting was her attorney claimed that both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing and suggested Maxwell alone could explain why if granted clemency. So dangling a little carrot there. But for now, she remains silent, survivors remain waiting, and Congress is left without answers.
It's not going away, is it? We thank you so much. I'll lock in with you tomorrow morning. But listen, Kinsey, thank you. I mean, Andrew, could he go to prison? Ghislaine Maxwell, the only one in prison. So much to talk about. Kinsey Schofield, thank you very much, Steve. Matty, very quickly, the Andrew thing. I think he's got to face the same as Mandelson if the truth comes out. He's got to face the same.
He's got to be held to account. But there's a bigger, sadder thing about this, isn't there? He's got to be held to account, and he is responsible for that, and his name should be as muddy as hell. But actually, what does it mean to those people in the US? This asset that we had that was the royal family. Yep. This is, it was a huge source of pride for us. You get these people going gaga in the US. They turn up in London. They want to go and see Buckingham Palace. Isn't the monarchy an incredible thing? What does it mean to brand UK and to the royal family as a brand on the world stage? They're linked up with this horrific, vile thing. It's something we'd happy to see happen somewhere else in the world, but actually our government's involved, senior members of the government hooked up in this stuff. Our royal family, a member of our royal family, so damaging to what the UK stands for. It's so damaging to the legacy of the royal family, to the legacy of the Queen, that we're tied up in this, and it's so sad for our country.
I completely agree with you, but I do think that if he is as implicated as Mandelson, they should both face the same, police matters. And I just think, more than anything, as we head towards the news at 7, you just sit here and you think, how many people are caught up in this? How many high-ranking people in the establishment have been sweeping this under the carpet?
And they've got away with it for nearly 2 decades.
We love having you on. Matt Vickers, still single as Valentine's Day approaches. It's Breakfast on Tour. Good morning.
I have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America.
That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
You know, the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland either the nice way or the more difficult way.
Any decision about the future status of Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just gone 7 o'clock. We are live across the United Kingdom. It's the Jeremy Carr Breakfast Show on Talk, of course, the home of common sense, the home of Alarm Clock Brits. And thank you for making us the speech radio station. This is a fact that is listened to for longer than any other in the United Kingdom. I can't get away from the main news story, but before I do, I've got to take a position here. Ollie, bless his little heart, is still at home sick. Sat there with Iris watching this. Little man, I'll be home later. He's not feeling good. But I think he could take this show over. He loves it. He watched all of that stuff yesterday. He's into it. Hope you feel better, little man. See you later. Right, 3 minutes past 7. How do I sell this to you? Yesterday was one heck of a day. Instead of repeating myself, I introduce you to a man who used to be a Labour MP and knows all about shenanigans. Simon Danshuk, good morning.
Good morning, good to be with you. I was trying to get some work done yesterday on the computer, working away. I were on Twitter watching the news come through all the time, every 2 minutes. Incredible.
I'd love to try and get from you what actually happens in those moments. So we're told Starmer's hold out, right? For 24 hours, not a mention from any cabinet minister. Then suddenly, I'm at the reform thing in Birmingham, this big announcement, 2:30, Anis Samwa, the Scottish leader, is going to call for his resignation. That happens. House of Cards is going to happen. No, suddenly, within 5 seconds, every single cabinet minister says, I support him, he's absolutely brilliant. So then you have a bit of a reprieve, and then he goes to the Parliamentary Labour Party in the evening, and he's very vocal and says, I've never lost a fight in my life. Really? But then this whole Wes Streeting thing comes out. And you haven't seen this clip, have you? No. This is brilliant. So Wes Streeting suddenly pops up on Sky with Beth Rigby, having been accused of, by Number 10, of being behind it. You know, this is the front of the Telegraph, peeps, by the way. Starmer clings on after briefings war. Insiders at Number 10 say, we know who's behind this. His name rhymes with Les Wheating. I mean, literally on the front page of the Telegraph. So he thinks, oh, my God, what am I going to do? I'm slightly cornered. So I'm going to go on Beth Rigby and cry and basically say I'm releasing all my text messages that I've had with Peter Mandelson, the friend of the world's most notorious paedophile. It doesn't get any better, this story. Have a watch. This is for you, Mr. Danshuk. Have a watch.
There is a lot of genuine intimacy here and friendship. You know, Wes to you, to Peter, great pitch, lovely photos in the time Peter sends you a kiss. There's well done on the BBC. This is Peter Mandelson to you in June 25. I'm literally reading them as I go along. Well done on the BBC, very good kiss. Are you planning to visit the US this year? You hope so, exclamation mark, kiss. Are you embarrassed by that? I mean, that's quite an intimate friendship, isn't it?
No, look, an intimate friendship. With Peter Mandelson, look, I'm
there's dozens and dozens
I'm very happy to...
But there are dozens and dozens of messages here.
And people will be able to read them.
Shifty or what?
Yeah, struggling.
Do you put kisses on the end of your text messages?
It depends who I'm sending them to.
To me? Do you put kisses?
No, never to you. No. But yeah, no, I mean, what a day. Incredible. Yeah. Anis Samwa. I know all these characters. I know Anis. He's actually a nice guy. I don't agree with all his politics, but I consider him a nice guy, and I know Wes as well. What I think has happened is over the weekend they've been plotting. Wes and Anis are very close politically.
Okay.
So I think they've been plotting, and the intention was for Anis Samwa to come out and push the first domino over, you know, call for Starmer to go, and then others would pile in behind him. Now, Anis Samwa warned the Prime Minister, Starmer, in advance that he was going to call for his resignation. then an operation starts in 10 Downing Street where they do a ring round of all the cabinet ministers, because there's a delay, isn't there, before a lot of the cabinet ministers had stayed quiet for 24 hours.
Yep.
They hadn't come out backing him. Pressure was applied, and this has happened previously.
What sort of pressure, Simon?
Everything will have been said. Listen, you're going to face a general election. I think Starmer will have said to some of them, you're going to face a general election. If you don't back the Prime Minister, you're going to lose your job, all the rest of it. And so a pressure's applied. And this is done before. You know, if you go back in time, Gordon Brown was Prime Minister up to the 2010 general election. Parnell was a minister who resigned. James Parnell, that's right. And then an operation took place there, and they managed to stop a rebellion and Brown having to go. So it was successful then, and it was successful yesterday. But I suspect that Wes Streeting had an operation in place. They were ready to push the button and to call for Starmer to leave.
2 questions for you then. I'm becoming more conspiratorial by the day. If Anis Sawar and Wes Streeting are close, as you said, and they plotted over the weekend, and that's certainly what Number 10 believe happened, why did he warn 10 Downing Street he was going to tell him in a press conference? Why didn't he ambush him? Why did he give him time, or the Number 10 operation time, to get their tanks in line?
Yeah, I think just out of courtesy, really. You know, as he said in his speech, Anis Sawar said in his speech, I consider myself a friend of the Prime Minister, so I think it was a courtesy. But even so, the operation would have started soon after anyway. It was being leaked that Anis Sawar was going to say that.
But it's also
at least an hour before.
The other question is, if you think that they plotted and Keir, can't believe I'm going to say this, but I will, was on the rocks, later on, that's obviously failed. Somebody's then had to tell Streeting, or Streeting suddenly sussed out, geez, that hasn't happened, and now they're going to turn it on me because I've got bloody WhatsApp messages linked into Peter Mandelson. My entire day's crashing down. So he then arrives on Beth Rigby blinking like a rabbit in the headlights, looking quite sweaty and quite teary. Did Starmer beat off Wes Streeting? Is Wes Streeting's ambition, which is known by anybody and everybody, is that dead in the water?
Oh, no, certainly not dead in the water.
Really?
Yeah, no, I think Starmer's hanging on by a thread. I mean,
is he?
Oh, absolutely. He won't last much longer. I think you wonder whether Streeting is attempting to get sacked, in actual fact.
Well, now, this is really interesting. I completely agree with you. I think he's out of options, Starmer, in that the communications director's gone, the chief of staff gone. Apparently the cabinet secretary, Wormold, is going to for the chop today. Yeah. Does it show him as strength? This is the problem. This is what I love about politics, right? If he sacks Streeting to show he's the big man who's never lost a fight, Streeting's then free on the backbenches to run around and gather up all the votes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the bigger point here is that Starmer appointed Mandelson as US ambassador, and we shouldn't forget that, and that's why he's in the situation he is.
But let me put this to you. He is quite rightly facing the wrath of the British public and his own MPs because he backed Mandelson, and everybody knew he was a dodgy bugger, excuse my French, right, whose friendship with Epstein is becoming murkier by the day. You can now surely, as Christian said to me at 5:30 this morning, say, so we've got 24 cabinet ministers, right, who are backing the appointment of the Prime Minister's mate, who's best mates with the world's most notorious paedophile. So those 24 are all implicated now, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly Christian's exactly right. That's the point I made on social media yesterday. They are culpable now. Yeah. All the cabinet are culpable, and they won't be happy about that. They've been dragged into this, haven't they? They've had to defend the indefensible. You know, Starmer's on the ropes. I'd be surprised if he'll probably last a week, but he certainly won't go beyond the May elections.
Well, that's the other thing, of course, which is fascinating. Thinking Premiership, are you a football fan?
I don't do football, you know.
Oh, Jesus, right, sack him. Yeah. But in football, the manager's a dead man walking, right? And you're playing the champions and the runners-up. Nobody wants to... How would anybody want to come into the Labour Party? You know, they've got a by-election coming up, they've got the local elections coming up, polls will tell us, we've got John Curtis here later, that Labour will be trounced. I don't know if that's a fact, we don't know until the day it happens, but if that's true, why would you want to come in? And so you've got this fascinating scenario where the lame duck Starmer, running out of staff, is holed up still in Downing Street. And I still believe we're on resignation watch. And you've got the streeting thing. He's now saying, well, I knew Mandelson and I sent kisses to him, but that doesn't mean anything. You've got our Angela yesterday. Did you see this? Her website, her leadership website, domain name Angela for Leader, that popped up just at the exact moment she was giving the Prime Minister a full support. And when it came up, she said, oh, it's nothing to do with me, it's fake news. And then we found out it's been registered with the same firm as a parliamentary site. So she's presumably a liar as well, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. She's on manoeuvres for the top job. And timing is everything in all this, isn't it?
Yep.
It's right for... Well, streeting needs to go early, whilst Andy Burnham isn't in Parliament, whilst Angela Rayner's still tied up with HMRC and tax affairs. So it was smart for him to go yesterday, but it all fell apart.
So that's why I asked if he's a dead man walking now, because there's one person who you have not heard hide nor hair of, and we all know that that's the most frightening possibility. Where the hell is Ed Miliband?
Yeah, that is scary, actually. I mean, him or Angela Rayner would be devastating for the country as Prime Minister or even caretaker Prime Minister. I mean, I think economically it would be a disaster for the country. We're in a bad position as it is. It'd be even worse if either of those were Prime Minister, and I don't say that lightly.
Let's say good morning to Andy. Morning, Andy.
Morning, Jezza, my old sweet cheeks, my old snuggle bunny, kiss. Sorry, yeah, I thought that was just how grown blokes talk to each other these days. Yeah. You know, if it wasn't so serious, it would be funny, wouldn't it? But after what this government has done to this country in the last 18 months, I have no sympathy for any of them. I hope it's as cringeworthy and as uncomfortable for every single one of them after what they put people through in this country. And more power to the victims of this of the Epstein case, because if they can get some peace at the end of this, it'll be a miracle. But they're the people we've got to think about, aren't they? Anyway, have a good day, mate. Bye.
You look slightly confused. I just thought, for a bit of fun and intimacy with my listeners this morning, if you're going to send a text message, 87222, or a voice note on 0344 499 1000, send me a kiss. That's what men do, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
Send
like
me intimate.
Mandelson and
Sweet
Streeting.
cheeks.
Yeah.
Morning to Ricky, who works in the office. He's put, loving the show, kiss, kiss. I didn't know you felt that way. Cheers, Rick. Morning, Jordan.
Morning, Jazza. Jordan from Chesterfield. Sat at Heathrow Terminal 5, waiting to fly to Los Angeles for 4 weeks. Think by the time I come back, we might have a new Prime Minister. Have a good day, Jez. Kiss, kiss.
I feel slightly uncomfortable now. It's an extraordinary story. You've got cabinet ministers running around trying to promote themselves, save their backsides. You've got Labour MPs 1 minute in mutiny. Did he really calm them down last night? I don't know. You're so right. It's all about timing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you look back in history, when anybody's toppled, and do you know what really infuriates me? I hear this again and again and again. They say nobody ever gets rid of a Labour Prime Minister. I think, again, they're forgetting the strength of the British people and the silent majority. I think the voice of the British people has never been stronger.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And I think the Labour MPs who came together last night, and for listeners, if they don't know, what happens every Monday, 6 o'clock, there's a meeting of the Parliamentary Labour Party. So all MPs and peers, Lords, Labour Lords, all come together in Committee Room 14 in the House of Commons. It's a gigantic wood-panelled room, and at one end you don't always have the leader there. You have different presentations by different speakers, cabinet ministers, etc. But last night it was obviously Starmer, and he allegedly made this great speech, one of his best speeches ever. He's not a great speaker, to be quite honest, so it'd have been fascinating to listen to. But I think the Labour MPs, coming back to your point, are gullible. Many of them are new to politics. They've not been in Parliament very long, only 18 months, many of them. And I think to be persuaded by Starmer is a big mistake because, as you say, the public out there are fuming at Starmer. He's the least popular Prime Minister Britain has ever had. So the idea that he can win over these Labour MPs whose seat depend on it is for the birds.
I completely agree. 7:15. If you want a moment of clarity in your life, and I do, I feel there's only one person to hear from. Good morning, Diane Abbott.
I think that the round of applause in the committee room just now was staged, just as all those endorsements of the Prime Minister, which appeared within 5 minutes of each other, were staged. And I can't see him lasting beyond May's elections.
I think that might be, and I'm not. Don't sue me. I think that might be the truest, most factual thing that Diane Abbott, who's got the same pair of shoes on today, is literally ever spoken.
I think she. Yeah, I know.
She nailed it, did Diane?
It's probably the first time I've ever agreed with Diane Abbott. To be quite honest with you. But if you look, she's right though. You look at some of the ministerial endorsements for Starmer, and again, I put this on social media yesterday. Peter Carl's endorsement of the Prime Minister, the tweet that he put out, was lacklustre to say the least.
And he's one of his closest allies.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't a ringing endorsement for the Prime Minister.
Morning, Cindy.
Morning, Jeremy. This is Cindy in Michigan. You know, Keir Starmer needs to step down and kiss, kiss, kiss.
It's getting weirder by the minute, this breakfast show, isn't it? That's Cindy from Michigan. Honestly, I'm quite overcome there. Christian's smiling at me in a weird way. Let's also talk about the wider implications. And I have to say, I loved what you said, and I do think a couple of last voice notes as well. In all of this horror and all of this trauma, we have to remember that Jeffrey Epstein and his paedophile ring, and that includes, it seems, hundreds of famous men, women, predominantly men across the world, there are victims in all of this. Yeah. There are bloody victims in all of this who need to be remembered. Let's talk about the royal family. The other big story is, you know, I sat here yesterday with Kinsey saying I think the royal family's at a crossroads, and I think that they really need to do more than say nothing. We had Prince William's office coming out early in the day saying, we think of the victims, and then last night, the King's profound concern over Andrew claims his palace says we are ready to work with the Thames Valley Police. Now, the interesting thing here is, and I'd love to know your take, you're a working class guy who dragged himself up. I am a royalist, but I cannot, with a clear conscience, right, say, and this is true, that if Peter Mandelson's going down, whether he squeals or not, the ex-Duke of York has to face exactly the same fate. If that human being has released information via email as a trade envoy, it is on a par with Mandelson, and he shouldn't be protected. And that's the first step, Bud Charles, because people are beginning to say, how long have you covered up for this brother? Yeah. I think it's a perfectly fair point to make. And I'm a royalist.
Andrew Windsor is in a much worse position than Peter Mandelson, because it's alleged that Andrew had relations with some of the trafficked girls, women, young women. I mean, that's the allegation against him. And now it comes out that he's been leaking sensitive information to Epstein. I mean, it's disastrous for the royal family. I'm a royalist too. You know, a smaller, smarter royal family would suit me. You'll be aware that Charles was in my neck of the woods yesterday. He was in Lancashire, Clitheroe, and he's being heckled in the street. He will not, which is unusual. He will not appreciate that, will he? But it won't go away until they sort Andrew out, and it's just getting worse for him.
And we've actually got a clip of that. This was spot on, Si. This is the King yesterday being heckled, and this is very relevant. Watch this. Listen to this.
Charles! How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you been protecting Andrew from prosecution?
You can say what you want and the crowd can boo, and I'd lay myself on the line as a royalist, but there will be a swell of opinion which says, you know, the Queen gave him 12 million. Nobody can criticise the Queen in front of me, but she gave him 12 million quid. Now, he was her favourite, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's going to be enough to go. Even that, I don't think. The statement last night. We've got Andrew Loney before or 8 o'clock just to get his views on this. But I don't think it's going to go away. And I fear that the royal family. To finish with you, mate. I can't get out of my head how many. Was the Crown Princess of Norway emails saying "have my babies," presidents, dukes, kings, queens, bloody prime ministers. This man was notorious, and God knows how. I mean, I've got my own theories, but it's extraordinary, isn't it?
They were taken in by him completely, and they knew that he was a paedophile. He'd been prosecuted for it. Prince Andrew was passing him information after he'd been prosecuted as a paedophile.
Do you think he was financed by the Russians, or do you think that's conspiratorial?
Oh, well, I read the Mail on Sunday who were really picking up on this, you know. I think there's certainly there were connections between Epstein and the Russians, as there was between Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, and the Russians.
Who fell off the back of a boat.
Yeah, exactly. Just as Epstein hanged himself in prison. I mean, yeah.
It's an extraordinary story, and much as we'd like to come in any day and try and change the narrative, you just can't. It's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Simon, we love having you on. He will be here every week. The legend that is Simon Downshire. Thank you very much indeed. 721 0344 499 1000 for your voice notes, and don't forget, with a bit of intimacy on the back of West Streeting and Manderson. Kiss, 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 kiss. If you are going to send a voice note, make it nice, and also text to 87222. But this show's become more than just a news station. Pete has got an update on his lazy son. Morning, Pete.
Morning, Jezza. Pete from Derby. You read my my note out yesterday morning about my son not getting out of bed. His name was Jordan. Well, I don't know what it is that Big Jez has done, but he's up and out of bed this morning. Nice one, pal. Have a good day. Great show as usual. Pete from Derby.
I'll just tell you exactly what I told him. I told him you're not his dad. We're back in 3.
I have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America.
I think Keir Starmer is doing a very good job.
You think a man who made the appointment of Maud Mandelson and that role is doing a good job? 13 U-turns.
You call them U-turns. What I say they are is listening to the views of his members of Parliament and the public and altering. Just as I was against the original decision on winter fuel allowance. I made representation.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 7:25. It's Wednesday morning. If you're waking up, you're waking up to just 2 stories. It is absolutely dominating. From the grave, the vile paedophile Jeffrey Epstein has cast a shadow over Keir Starmer's government. Quite rightly, too, he's clinging on. He took on the backbenchers yesterday. West Streeting started a coup, allegedly, according to Number 10, and that failed, and he ended up on television saying, I know I've got intimate texts with Peter Mandelson, but he's a vile human being. So if you do send a text to me today, 87222, be intimate, send a kiss, call me sweet cheeks, make me feel special. Honestly, the royal family implicated, it seems, up to their necks. Unfortunately, some people heckling the king yesterday, saying, "How long have you known? Why are you protecting your brother?" The king came out last night and said, "We will absolutely stand by the police if anything happens." It's just an ongoing situation. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Kevin from Birmingham. This Labour government, they can kiss my.
Brilliant. There you go. So it's very romantic. Hello to Ian from Merseyside. Promises made to get power. They promised change. Wow. Is this change? The hard-pressed, higher taxed alarm clock Brits deserve so much better, Jez. Keep it going. Morning. Zoe from Lancashire. That was streeting, shooting himself in the foot. He's finished. Rich, good morning. Don't forget all MPs and government have disappearing messages on their phones now. All electronic devices should be seized from Cabinet. Hello to Gaz in Scunny. Just imagine if Ghislaine Maxwell talked. I imagine a lot of powerful men across the world will be pulling strings to keep her quiet. Stephen Macmillan, the royal family are in danger as never before. My solution is that Charles abdicates and hands on to William. The move separates Andrew's actions from a future monarchy and allows William to map a new, modern path to the future. Steve, thank you, from Bromsgrove. Sharon Miller, good morning. I'm blaming the Queen. She knew about her son's disgusting behaviour and covered it up with a payoff. I don't know if I go that far. I think she was a doting mum. Ian, Angela Rayner is biding her time until the HMRC clears her. Hopefully this will be within days and we can have Valentine's Day massacre with the kisses to everybody. Hello to... oh, morning, Pete. How you doing, son? Morning, Pete.
Send lots of kisses to talk television. Oh, it's such a sexy phone call. Ain't for bleeding you, Jeremy. It's for people like Isabel. Get out of it, mate. Who's sending you kisses this time of the morning?
Sorry, what's wrong with that? It was the weirdest voice note ever. Never mind. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, making her daily debut, or even appearance, we say a very good morning to the legend, Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott, looking bright and beautiful. Hello.
Well, listen, I'm really cheered up. That's the only kiss I've had this morning. You know, thanks to that listener.
Well,
bring them on.
Tash in Bexhill said... Jez, I suspect you saw Richard Tice yesterday when you were hosting the Reform Do in Birmingham. I hope you pointed out to him that Valentine's Day is coming. He should have that rock in his pocket, sure how that sounds, for Isabel by now. I did it again. I interviewed him. I said, you know, your priorities, patience is a virtue, patience is a... How long are you prepared to wait, Isabel Oakeshott? That's all I'm saying.
Well, listen, breaking news this morning. I do have a ring, and I'm about to show it to you. Da, da, da.
Are you being...
It's a card with a ring on it.
Is that all he sent you? Is that what he sent you?
And it's not even from him, so...
Oh, my God. Listen, lovely to have you on, babe. I can't... I come in every day and I say to Christian, do you think people are bored of this by now? Because it just won't go away. I mean, the pressure on actually the Prime Minister and, of course, Andrew we'll talk about in a sec. But yesterday was just one of those days where you just couldn't keep your eyes off your phone. I've so many things to ask you. My favourite line is, my favourite thing is the Wes Streeting interview. Have you seen this with Beth Rigby?
I have, yes, quite awkward.
I got to play this again if you're just tuning in, because people tune in the whole time. Basically what happened was, Starmer's holed up in number 10. Nobody's supporting him. At 2:30, the Scottish leader, Anas Sarwar, basically said, I want you out. He apparently spoke to Wes Streeting at the weekend. None of the cabinet ministers then did anything about it. They all came out and supported Starmer for some reason, probably because he threatened a general election or he'd sack him. At which point, Streeting is a little bit cornered. I like on the front of the Telegraph, Starmer clings on after briefings war, with insiders saying, we know who's behind this. His name rhymes with Les Wheating. That literally came from 10 Downing Street. Whereupon Wes Streeting thinking, Christ, that hasn't happened, the coup, and now they're going to have a go at me. I've got messages that are quite intimate with Peter Mandelson, so I better go on television and do a mea culpa. Have a watch. This is Wes yesterday.
There is a lot of genuine intimacy here and friendship. You know, Wes to you, to Peter, great pitch, lovely photos in the time Peter sends you a kiss. There's well done on the BBC. This is Peter Mandelson to you in June 25. I'm literally reading them as I go along. Well done on the BBC, very good kiss. Are you planning to visit the US this year? You hope so, exclamation mark, kiss. Are you embarrassed by that? I mean, that's quite an intimate friendship, isn't it?
No, look, an intimate friendship. With Peter Mandelson, look, I'm very happy to...
But there are dozens and dozens of messages here.
And people will be able to read them.
Isabel Oakeshott. I mean, I don't put kisses on text to your husband-to-be. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous, man.
That was cringe, wasn't it? That was absolutely cringe. I mean... Wes Streeting, from a sort of ambitious politician point of view, did the right thing in getting those messages out, because he clearly knew that there was a strong likelihood that they would find their way into the public domain. So he's just sort of trying to get them all out there, particularly on a tempestuous news day when they were likely to get less coverage. So, you know, I can see his rationale there, but that interview will come back to haunt him. You know, if he thinks he's running for the leadership, that is just going to be played on a loop, isn't it?
I completely agree. It was such an interesting day. And Christian made, I think, the most salient point this morning in our meeting early on. He said the Prime Minister goes for a showdown with his backbenchers. We don't sort of believe that they're just silenced for a while. Some of them, as Simon Danczuk said, very inexperienced, and it would have been easy to do that. But more importantly is that the Cabinet, the entire Cabinet, in coming out under pressure or not to support Starmer, are showing their support for a decision to employ as US ambassador one of the best friends of the world's most notorious paedophile. So they are now completely implicated as well, aren't they?
I mean, I think that there's no sort of fiction here, really. It's obvious that that was just a charade yesterday, wasn't it? No one really believes that all those voices that came out within an hour of each other with these pre-prepared lines truly supports Keir Starmer. He's finished, it's over, it's done. It's just a question of the choreography now as to when he goes. He is mortally wounded. And now it's all about who's going to take over. And I think unexpected things could happen. You know, we're now all adjusting to the idea that we may be stuck with Starmer until after the by-election at the end of this month, or even after the May elections. But I think this is such a fast-moving situation. It's so febrile. I mean, have we heard, by the way, from Shabana Mahmood?
Well, I had a really interesting chat with several people yesterday, and I put that out there, that Shabana Mahmood is doing, you know, a job and is quite high profile. And it was told to me in no uncertain terms that the membership would not go anywhere near endorsing her. And we sadly it doesn't bother me. Well, it would if he was the Prime Minister. The membership are 73% likely to vote Ed Miliband as the next leader of the Labour Party. And we can talk about Ange, whose leadership website went live. Oh, it wasn't her that did that, though. But yeah, Ed Miliband, who, by the way, has been very, very quiet, hasn't he, Isabel Oakeshott?
He has been very, very quiet. It's a bit like, you know, when your toddlers disappear and they're very, very quiet, and then you kind of go and find them and they've got your makeup bag and there's lipstick everywhere. That's what it's like when someone like Ed Miliband in these circumstances goes very, very quiet. He's a submarine and he's just waiting to let the weapons off. I think that it's evidently, I think Wes Streeting from yesterday is pretty damaged from that. You know, I know what he was trying to do, but I think it's damaging. So I think you are left probably with a Ed Miliband versus Angela Rayner contest with a few other also-rans when the time comes. And none of this is a particularly thrilling prospect, is it? There was something else I wanted to talk to you about, Jeremy, this couple of things.
Yeah.
There's one aspect, there's so much news has been pouring out that there are things that I think haven't got the attention that they probably deserve. Did you notice that as part of all the release of these files from the US in the last few days, that Jeffrey Epstein's death, a statement on Jeffrey Epstein's death, was drafted the day before he died?
Yep.
I think that's absolutely fascinating. That is not just some, you know, newspaper predicting it. It was a US attorney statement the day before he died. And I sort of feel there's long been these conspiracy theories. Was he murdered? To me, that kind of says, yes, he was.
There's more as well. There's footage. You must have seen this as well. I completely agree with you on that. There's footage of a new inmate going into or walking past his cell, there it is, the night before he's murdered or the night he's murdered, that nobody can identify. There's the person there if you're watching on YouTube, a new inmate. This footage shows him being marched to his cell wearing an orange jumpsuit, and then later on there's footage of this complete stranger. For all the people who think that this is conspiratorial, and I'm totally... Oh, hold on. Approximately 10:39, a guard appeared in the direction of his cell, and then It's all very... This is very dubious if you're not watching. I'm not going to describe it for the radio, but it does say to the people who have long thought that Epstein was in the power of other people, and I made the point yesterday, Isabel, where did he get his... He went from millionaire to multi-billionaire, as you said on yesterday morning's show. If he was... you know, hoovering up information from a variety of senior politicians and royalty across the world, maybe he was financed by the Russians, and at the risk of anybody thinking I'm nuts, right? Maybe they knocked him off when he'd been as useful as he could be. I don't know. But the whole thing, I mean, it just doesn't go away, mate, does it?
It absolutely doesn't. And, you know, for me, that is a really crucial bit of evidence, that a statement being drafted the day before, that is surely... that tells you that there is a lot more to any of this than meets the eye. And I never thought anyway that Epstein was the kind of personality that would take his own life.
No. Whether you can in solitary as well, to be perfectly honest. I know the idea was that a couple of the officers have been paid or whatever. I just don't know, like you. Too many unanswered questions. Can I also... I want you to tell... This is brilliant, and I was given this yesterday, and you sent it to me just now. You make a really good point. In the midst of this huge scandal that seems to have engulfed us politically and engulfed the royal family, I said it earlier, there's still a bloody country on its knees, and people are still suffering, and a government that is handicapped by its own inability to tell the truth to each other, are not doing what they want to do. And then we arrive, ladies and gentlemen, and pin back your lugholes. Isabel Oakeshott, tell me about Bangor University in North Wales.
Well, Bangor University has put out a statement, the students at Bangor University, saying that, and I'm quoting here, in line with our values, in line with their values, they will not be platforming anyone from reform for any debates. And I think Bangor University may come to bitterly regret that position because as of this morning, in line with Reform UK's values, Reform UK is threatening to defund Bangor University. No government funding, no student loans. And I actually think they mean it. You know, we cannot be using taxpayers' money to support universities that shut down any kind of wide, free political debate. That is not what university education is all about. What an utter disgrace. Those self-indulgent little poppets who somehow think that they've got the right to monopolise political opinion and shut out the broad spectrum of debate that has its absolute heart in academia. If our universities can't have free academic debate, free debate about the future of our country, then what the hell is going to become of us? And by the way, just one more thing, because I know we're running out of time. I keep looking at my phone because I'm mesmerised by this cartoon in the Telegraph, this Mac cartoon. It shows a couple of people on the Chagos Islands, and it says, the UK is in crisis. I think we should give it to Mauritius.
Honestly, I completely agree. Can I just say about Bangor? Try and be balanced. I completely agree with you, but Bangor University is saying that the students' union that made this decision is separate to them and they don't agree with it. But the fact of the matter is, and the reason this story is so important, and I don't want to talk about my own kids, but I have a daughter at a university. I worry about our schools and I worry about our universities. I think they're being indoctrinated. I think there is only one political message being sent. And all those people at Bangor University and others who will don their T-shirts saying Free Palestine need to open your bloody minds and listen to both sides of the argument. I don't care. See, I'm old enough to say this. I don't care if I would spend my life talking to you and we would disagree profoundly, but that's a democracy. But you have to have that debate. You can't have just one side. And I'm afraid that so many of the young... God, I sound like my dad. So many of the younger generation, it's that's my way and that's my truth and that's my world. And you lot are a bunch of antiquated old dinosaurs who need to be cancelled. No, you need to understand there are two, possibly four sides to the political argument. Open your bloody minds. I'm totally with you on this. I think it's outrageous.
It's so feeble, though, as well. I mean, these are supposedly intelligent young people who seem to think that any kind of debate that doesn't align with their political instincts, their political reflexes, has to be characterised as hate, peddling hate, or racism, or xenophobia. These are the words that they've used in their statement. And yeah, sure, I get that, you know, the student union is different from the institution of the university. But I think there's a pretty big overlap there too. And I think the university has a role. If its students are so misguided as to be pumping out this kind of really, frankly, quite sinister twaddle, then the university itself has a responsibility to step in and say, actually, you know what? We're not actually going to be a forum for you.
Couldn't agree more as ever. Brilliant. We'll see you in the morning. Thank you, our Talk International editor. The excellent, amazing Isabel Oakeshott, 20 minutes to 8 o'clock. Morning, Dan.
Morning, Jezza. It's Dan from Kent. Where's Streeting? I think he's pushing to be sacked. He knows he can't fix the NHS. He'd be quite happy to sit in the backbench with our Ange. And then come May, when that'll be the final blow for Keir Starmer in the local elections, he'll push for his leadership bid. Anyway, I'll finish off with I love you more than yesterday, but less than tomorrow. Have a great day.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Busy show this morning. It's all about the government. It's all about the royal family. Andrew Loney, who has made so many points about the Duke of York, the ex-Duke of York. He will be on the show ahead of 8 o'clock. But I'm delighted. My partner in crime from yesterday, Samara Gill, is here. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. I'm great. I'm kind of still living off the energy of that conference. I mean, whether you like reform or not, they know how to put an event on, that's for sure.
They certainly do. I know you had an exclusive yesterday with Nigel. I was running around doing my thing. We haven't got an awful lot of time. Tell me more.
Well, Nigel spoke to me and he told me just what he thought about our still Prime Minister.
Here we go.
It seems like you won't be the next Prime Minister, actually, of Britain. There's going to be maybe someone else, some sort of chancer from the Labour Party. Who is that person in your mind if Keir Starmer does step down?
Probably Rayner, because ultimately the union bloc vote will be a huge constituent part of who gets elected. Also, the Labour membership will be further to the left even than the Labour Parliamentary Party. I think all roads lead to Rayner. Now, she's got some tax issues to deal with and sort out, but if she gets that out of the way, I would have thought that it's hers to lose.
Will the country be better or worse without Starmer? I mean, you're saying Rayner might be there, someone even further left, Ed Miliband potentially. Is it going to be a brighter future without him, or is it going to be even worse?
Things can only get worse.
Brilliant. I mean, he's quite forceful. I mean, yeah, good morning. Yeah. Welcome to England. Interestingly, being there yesterday and doing my job, it was interesting. The feeling in the hall was that Starmer was going to go when the Scottish leader came out, but that didn't happen. And now we've got this unedifying streeting thing with the kissy messages with Mandelson. Everybody seems to be waiting for the inevitable. Did you get the impression that Nigel Farage felt that the fall of Starmer is imminent?
I think he did feel that, but he also did say that it's going to be replaced with someone probably much worse. He did say that in his speech. But I agree, as a journalist, I felt a bit baited by the Reform Party because we thought there was going to be a shadow cabinet. Now, they did say in the coming days they will be announcing just who is going to fill that. Farage also said in the interview that I did with him that it's not going to be anyone who has previously failed at the position that they were put in. So that's quite interesting. That means we can rule out someone like Jenrick as Home Secretary, also Braverman as well. Those people will not get a second chance, which is, in my opinion, quite good to hear. And speaking of people like Jenrick and Braverman, to be in the room there, to see the reaction, there's a lot of unfiltered behaviour that goes on at those conferences. I think there is a bit of a chasm between the old guard and the new, which is completely normal. But it's interesting to see that dynamic shift in Reform, even just from conference, where you still had those sort of tried and true reformers who've been there from the start, then getting, not replaced, but, almost getting infiltrated by some of these Tories. And I think even during your interviews with them, you could see that there is a slight sort of difference in how they operate, in how they speak. I think they're trying to shed that old Tory almost cloak. And
I got that impression when I was interviewing the Tories, the Tories that have defected, that they'd never... There's 2,500 people. It's glitzy. It's amazing. You could also tell that they probably answered more questions in the political arena. And you're right, the dynamic of, I've been here from the beginning, I expect a bloody job too, I've just come in and I'm not going to come over for nothing. It's going to be a really interesting dynamic. But as ever, nobody essentially knows what's going on, because Nigel Farage will make his decisions. He's his own man. But it was an interesting spectacle, and you were marvellous in what you did. Can I just say marvellous? And how lovely to have you there yesterday. I know it's a quickie, and she's got out of bed again, but this is the joy of being you, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the real joy of waking up and being me, JK.
Absolutely. What a wonderful thought. We love you. Thank you. Should be roving off somewhere. We'll sort out. Morning, Wayne.
Morning, Jezza. It's Wayne from Erdington in Birmingham. Starmer says he's never lost a fight. And then I seen that clip of him on the punch bag. Are you joking me? He couldn't punch his way out of a soggy paper bag with scissors on his hands. The man's an absolute Walter. Have a great day, my man. Massive hugs and kisses.
So there's some people in society who believe that, you know, the flag is the symbol of the country, we should be proud of it, we should wave it, and, you know, I'm one of those. People who are apologists for the British Empire, for apologists for how we've been in the past, and it's almost a symbol of national shame to them. It's kind of like, well, we flew that flag. Oh, I'm not sure about this one.
The whole national shame thing, I believe that actually that's a sort of a greater agenda going on, to be honest with you. It's apologist nature of sort of of so many successive governments now who have sort of almost been forced to be embarrassed by our great British history.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 8 minutes to 8. Yeah, thank you for making those amazing, well, just being here for Talk. We appreciate it. Home of Common Sense, home, of course, of the alarm clock Brits. The story that dominates politically and royally is the vile paedophile Jeffrey Epstein and how he has stained so much of our establishment. Back on this morning, the royal author of the unauthorised biography entitled The Rise and the Fall of the House of York, Andrew Loney. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thanks. Very nice to be back.
I feel like I'm going to have you on every minute, because yesterday we started the show, we were talking to you, we were talking about how the royal family needed something. There was just a feeling in the country that they needed to give something. And then, of course, before William arrived in Riyadh, he and the princess made a statement. Then later on the back of this, and I want to play this clip, because this is really, I think, important. The King was in Clitheroe yesterday afternoon, and he was heckled. Just listen and watch this, my friends.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you been protecting Andrew from prosecution?
That obviously, Andrew, had an impact, because later in the evening, the King announced that he stands ready to support any police investigation into his disgraced brother Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He said, while specific claims in questions are for him to address, if we are approached by Thames Valley Police, we stand ready to support them as you would expect. Pretty seismic shift in 24 hours, Andrew Loney, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I think it's coming really from pressure from social media. I still don't think it's enough. I mean, I think what we do need to know is, what did the palace know? When did they know it? What did they do then? And what are they going to do now? I think this is all just attempt at optics. It's not actually transparency. Saying that they'll cooperate with the police is very different from actually coming forward and explaining why they've protected him for the last 15 years. I mean, I know that the palace have known about these stories for a long time, and they didn't deal with the Andrew problem. They're only dealing with it now because the King is being heckled.
I couldn't agree more, and I find myself not even compromised. I find myself opening my mind in a different angle towards the monarchy that I've always supported. I know that you said yesterday on the show you were pilloried when you came out with these criticisms. The autobiography was unauthorised, and a lot of people put the boot in. But you are being proven right on a daily basis, and I'm sad to say I completely agree. That heckler might be one voice. That's just going to grow. People are going to say, how long have you been covering up what is the extent of your knowledge? Is it okay to say, well, we knew he was friends with a paedophile, but that's it? It's a really interesting moment, isn't it, for the monarchy in its entirety?
Yes, I mean, there are three problems. One is the financial irregularities, the fact that he was sharing confidential information in a job which was a taxpayer-funded, in effect, civil servant job. If they're going after Mandelson, they have to go after Andrew for misconduct in public office. It's quite clear that women were being trafficked to him, including to royal palaces, so there's a good case there for sex trafficking. And there's also the national security angle, the fact that Andrew has got himself involved with Russian intelligence and indeed Chinese intelligence. And there needs to be a proper investigation into his activities. I mean, the fact is that this is about financial corruption at the heart of the royal family from a senior royal covered up by the institution. Just saying we feel sorry for the victims, I'm afraid, isn't going to cut the mustard with the public.
I don't know if I asked you this yesterday. If I did, I apologise. If they have been silent, the monarchy, and their example would be, their reasoning would be, we didn't know the extent of it, and others would say, well, you should have known the extent of it. How serious do you think this could get for the king? Do you think that the clamour could literally end King Charles's reign?
Yes, I think it could. I mean, I think they seem unable to learn the lessons of the past. That with social media, they do need to be more transparent. They go through this gesture stuff, which just doesn't sort the problem out. The fact is, they've tried to shut the story down for years, to the extent of issuing legal threats against journalists, strong arm pressure to deny them access to royal interviews, etc. So the king has known about this. The Queen protected Andrew. She turned people away who came and complained. And I think they have a lot of questions to answer, as does the Met. Why has it taken a private prosecution to actually get them to do anything? And why are the government not releasing all the files on Andrew's time as a trade envoy? I spent 5 years trying to get access to them. What are they hiding? Well, we now know.
It's also interesting for me, and I liked when you started and you said, and I think this is really important, that if you're going to prosecute Mandelson, then the very least we should expect is that even members of our royal family, no, the king can't be prosecuted, but others, right, should be culpable. And what frightens me, and I mean that genuinely, is a bit when I think about the grooming gang lack of inquiry, and I question whether the establishment has covered this up. I mean, you're talking this morning as if the royal family have covered this up, even the Met Police, and I can't say I'm sat here disagreeing with you. You're putting this at the door of several institutions, right?
Yes, there's been a huge cover-up for years. I mean, this is why there needs to be a parliamentary investigation. All those former heads of UKTI who've never spoken publicly wouldn't speak to me. They know what was going on. I mean, one of the things I learnt yesterday from someone in the UKTI was that Andrew was putting these massages on the taxpayers' bill, and they were being put forward, being supported by senior officials. You know, I've got hardly anyone to talk who served, for example, in Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan. We know what was going on there. Again, diplomats were actually sending prostitutes into his hotel. Now, this is not what we pay diplomats to go abroad and do. So I think there's really big questions for a lot of people. Andrew didn't operate alone. He was part of a huge network. And it's time that actually we had a little bit of transparency.
You talked earlier about, and I asked you, could this lead to the end of the king's reign? And you said yes. Many people texting me this morning saying the only way out of this for the monarchy is for King Charles to abdicate and pass the throne to William and start a new era. Is the future King William implicated at all, do you feel? Could he be held responsible with an overview of the monarchy, or would that be a clean break in your mind?
I think that would be a clean break. I think that we're moving towards that position just because of the cack-handed way that they've dealt with it. I don't think William knew. I certainly don't think he can be blamed for anything. I think he's tried to interfere. Clearly there's a hierarchy there and he can only do so much. It's Charles and I'm afraid the former Queen who really have the questions to answer.
And also you said yesterday, let's not forget the images of King Charles years ago with £3 million in plastic bags from donors across the Middle East. That's a fact, right? It's a fact.
Yes. I mean, I think, there are questions, I'm afraid, for the king and his dealings in the Middle East and to support Dumfries House. William, seems to be clean, and I do think we are moving to a position where the easiest thing would be for the king to abdicate.
Which to many will be utterly shocking. Can I ask you a very direct question? I haven't got long. And I made a big thing about this. Andrew should face the same justice that Peter Mandelson. Can you see a point where the king's brother, Andrew Loney, goes to jail?
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, I hope, not me. No, I can't see him going to jail. I think he will do a midnight flit and possibly aided by the royal family. He'll go to a country without an extradition treaty and justice will not be served. I don't see him paying any penalty for his behaviour, unfortunately.
Listen, this is a story that goes on, and we're delighted to have you on again. Andrew Loney, unauthorised biography entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York. Thank you for your daily update. This is Talk Breakfast. It's 8 o'clock, and the news is next, followed by Sarah Poachin on Breakfast.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just gone 8 o'clock. There is so much to cram. It is Tuesday the 10th of February and the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, is still in Downing Street. One of the most extraordinary days ever. He was holed up yesterday morning. Many thought it was time to go. At 2:30 yesterday afternoon, the Scottish Labour leader, Anna Sawar, said, you've got to go. People were like, this is it. But within minutes, the entire cabinet, who'd been quiet for 24 hours, suddenly backed Starmer. This sort of answered one question, you know, is he there for the day or however, but it also implicates now 24 cabinet members who have supported a man who gave his mate a position when he knew he was best mates with the world's most notorious paedophile. That was the first part of the day. And then the other fallout, which is fantastic, I genuinely mean this, is rumours started to abound that Sawar was working with Streeting, that they had a little conversation on Saturday and that Streeting went, you do that, and then the house of cards will fall, and it didn't happen. And 3 hours later, old Wes Streeting, Mr Confident, Mr I want to be Prime Minister, was interviewed on Sky with sort of tears in his eyes going, these are my intimate messages with Peter Mandelson. I sent him kisses, but he's my friend. Watch this.
There is a lot of genuine intimacy here and friendship. You know, Wes to you, to Peter, great pitch, lovely photos in the time Peter sends you a kiss. There's well done on the BBC. This is Peter Mandelson to you in June 25. I'm literally reading them as I go along. Well done on the BBC, very good kiss. Are you planning to visit the US this year? You hope so, exclamation mark, kiss. Are you embarrassed by that? I mean, that's quite an intimate friendship, isn't it?
No, look, an intimate friendship. With Peter Mandelson, look, I'm very happy to...
But there are dozens and dozens of messages here.
And people will be able to read them.
So it's not intimate to put a kiss. Is his leadership ambitions up in smoke? How long does Starmer last? I just thought as a bit of fun this morning, if you're going to text the show 87222 or send me a voice note, let's have some intimacy. Morning, Darren.
All right, Jezza. Darren working over there in Holland. Just want to start off by sending you a couple of early morning kisses. And hang on a minute. What's that, Karen? Oh, I'm on the phone to... No, Karen, it's just a laugh. It's Jeremy Kyle. We're just having a laugh on the radio. Jezza, gotta go, bye.
See, it's happening. And when you talk about intimacy, a lady who was fantastic yesterday, the First Lady of Reform, MP for Runcorn and Helsby, Sarah Poachin, in her wonderful kitchen, a different angle. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Jeremy. It's a good job that you haven't got any screenshots of all my kisses to you.
Well, that's another story, but don't... Shh. I'm prepared to release them all. I am. In transparent rules, I'll just... Never mind. Mate, we talked yesterday, but away from that, from your own personal point of view, an extraordinary day. I mean, he clings on. Wes Streeting, I think his ambitions are up in smoke. I don't mind anybody arguing that with me. And Angela Rayner, her leadership website went live as she was giving an interview showing her full support to Keir Starmer. She's not ready, that's why she did that. The domain name, this is favourite, Angela for Leader, was registered with the same firm as her parliamentary site, but she said it's fake news. What did you make of the whole day, Sarah?
Do you know what? They're fighting like rats in a sack already. But what is so disappointing is it's so bad for British politics. We had all this with the Tories, didn't we? And Labour came in promising that wasn't going to happen, promising there was no corruption or fraud or toxicity in their ranks. And all we've seen are all of those things. Wes Streeting is absolutely finished now. I mean, as you know, I've been attacking Wes Streeting for his stance on the puberty blocking trial. It's an absolute disgrace how he's kowtowing to the trans lobby. This now is just about the last nail in his coffin. He will not survive this. There's no way Wes Streeting now will be able to run for leadership of the Labour Party.
Well, it's interesting. So we've got live pictures of, well, it says here, live pictures of ministers arriving for the cabinet meeting, and no buggers turned up so far. So that's interesting. Oh, there's one. No, it doesn't look like a cabinet minister. But here's a question about Wes Streeting. Is he angling, in your opinion, Sarah, to be fired so he can sit on the back benches and plot? Because Rayner undoubtedly is biding her time because of HMRC. And then you've got the other one, Millipede, very silent. I wonder if Wes Streeting's trying to be fired.
Look, Wes Streeting honestly will never become leader now. His association with Mandelson, and joking aside, they were intimate text messages, you know, showing a very strong friendship.
Yep.
And as I've said before, you know, you judge a man on who he keeps as his friends. Wes Streeting has absolutely just crucified himself. He will never stand or have a chance of standing as leader. He might as well just forget it. But from Reform's point of view, of course, we actually don't want Keir Starmer to go anywhere. He's the best advert for reform going. You know, he's such a weak leader. He's such a disaster. He U-turns left, right and centre. We're quite happy for him to stay in place until the next general election.
Well, yeah, that's true. He did say that he's won every fight as he faced up to the PLP, the Parliamentary Labour Party, last night. He's won every fight in his life, and he's not about to back down now. But we know, as the headline says, that the knives are out, and we know that if people are... I mean, I thought it was really interesting. What did you take on this as well? I think Christian's dead right. You didn't hear a thing from those cabinet ministers for 24 hours whilst he was squirming on the end of a hook. And then, as the Mail says, they were bounced into giving him a stay of execution. And Christian said this earlier, to give him credit, actually, and say, well, does that now mean, surely it does, that the 24 members of our cabinet are as implicated in supporting Mandelson, who was best mates with the world's most notorious paedophile? Because if they had any morality, surely they'd have forced out Starmer for that decision. Morgan McSweeney went.
Yeah, before I heard you make these points earlier this morning, I thought exactly the same myself when I heard this. It really stinks, doesn't it? You know, they are effectively putting their weight and support behind somebody who, as we know, has appointed, you know, best friends of a paedophile to such a prominent position, and embarrassed this country. Let's not forget what's going on here, apart from the murky, disgusting, despicable behaviour of these men. But Keir Starmer has embarrassed Great Britain on the world stage. And that is so damaging. Let's not forget that. He should go on that count alone. Any Prime Minister that embarrasses the country needs to go. But look, what's the alternative? Rayner or Miliband? The country will be on its knees. Well, it's already on its knees from a small business point of view. I know, because I talk to small businesses in my constituency of Runcorn and Helsby all the time. It's on its knees. But by the end of a period of Rayner and Miliband, oh my goodness, will we be desperate for a reform government?
It's quite interesting as well. People were saying to me yesterday, you know, there's not ways to get rid of a Labour leader. I disagree. Oh, well, a cabinet minister's arrived. Oh, that's Darren Jones with his little brown bag. He's the secretary for the Prime Minister. His job's not looking great, is it? Anyway.
Oh, I've never heard of him, but...
Secretary of State for the Prime Minister. Brilliant. But on a serious note, you know, you've got this belief that you can't get rid of a Labour leader. I think that, I said it yesterday, I think the will of the British people is really strong, and I think that people will not accept this situation. You make a really, really good point. Whilst all of this rubbish is going on and people are plotting and people are scoring points and people are facing up to other people, this country, our borders are still being infiltrated by illegals who shouldn't be here. We've still got not enough police. There's crime everywhere. Our prison system is on its backside. Our justice system is on its backside. This government wants to get rid of juries. And you're so right when you say it. One of their biggest and correct criticisms of the Conservative government at the end is they were so interested in trying to screw each other over that we were all left going, sorry, could you sort the country out? We're right back there again. We're right back there again.
Exactly. Could somebody please just run the country, put the interests of the British people first? And you're absolutely right. The whole justice brief, as you know, is something that, I know inside out, very, very passionate about. Sort the courts out, sort the prisons out. And it's actually not rocket science. It's about the will of the government. And of course, above all, sort out our borders and our national security and our defence capability. These are huge issues that need tackling, and yet this government, like the last, is spending all its days with its infighting. But there's something else that needs sorting, and I feel very strongly about this, and that is our education system and what is going on in our schools, our colleges, our universities at the moment. Because I want to bring this up because I asked Bangor University for a platform to debate as a Reform Member of Parliament. And I've been refused that platform.
Before you jump in, I should tell you this. Isabel raised this half an hour ago, and we didn't mention at the time because you were coming on. It was you who's been banned by Bangor University because they don't entertain racist, homophobic, right-wing, far-right thugs. That's what you are.
Exactly, and clearly I am I obviously look like a thug. How ridiculous. I am the most normal, down-to-earth, grounded politician that probably exists in the entire of the 650 politicians out there. I'm just a common sense mum. And by the way, I have an awful lot of gay friends. My brother is gay and happily married to a Sicilian gentleman. There's not a homophobic bone in my body. It's a ridiculous thing to suggest.
So explain to us. You were invited, or you tried to get involved in a debate at Bangor University in North Wales, and yes. I want to ask you this because I said this to Isabel. The university overnight have said that was a student union decision. That is nothing to do with us. Now, presumably it is something to do with them. Why can't they control their students' union, or am I missing the point?
Absolutely. And the fact is they can split hairs over whose fault it is. And yes, I'm sure it was the student union. But the point is it's representing Bangor University, isn't it? And they, like you say, need to, it's leadership, culture, all of those things. How can a debating society refuse to debate? And it's, we're not even asking them to debate, with somebody like Zia Youssef. It's just me. I'm just a mum whose children have been to university, and I'd love to debate with some of these young people. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not an Oxbridge brain. I'm just a common sense normal person, and they won't debate with me. How frightening is that? But I'll tell you what really bothers me about this is that the indoctrination of our children through schools, through colleges, through universities, the ideas that are now in their heads, those are the ideas that are going to be in the heads of the leaders of the future. And they are not able to debate somebody like myself. How are they going to lead this country in the future? How are they going to debate in Parliament?
The problem is, Sarah, the reason that you're right, and I have a daughter at university, and I don't want to sort of implicate her in this, but I've heard so many frightening stories. I've got one of my wife's best friend's daughter is 6. She came home and said they're doing stressed classes with us to make sure that, you don't get stressed at school. And her mum's going, can you go and clean your teeth? I don't feel like doing that. Are you laughing at me, Christian? Genuinely true. I think, I'm too stressed, mummy. I think the entire education system in many instances has been infiltrated. And by the way, what we're talking about, let's have it out, right? Let's be honest, right? Democracy, debate, means that I could be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and spend my life disagreeing with everything that comes out of your mouth, and we have a debate, and then we go and have a glass of wine, and probably we send each other a message with a kiss on, because that's a democracy. But you have a generation who are being encouraged, and by an education system, I genuinely believe this, to, that rubbish. This is my truth, right? Well, I've got mine. No, yours is antiquated, racist, homophobic, misogynistic, and you need to be cancelled. You're a piece of crap, and I'm not listening. No, hold on a minute. That's not a democracy. Bangor University is predominantly young females, 60%. It's got 2,000 international students. If you cannot have a debate with somebody that you might fundamentally disagree with, sorry, I'm going to sound like Hugh Grant now, we're buggered. We're absolutely buggered. You can't have it. It doesn't work.
But also, they're so deluded. You know, they're saying that I'm transphobic. Why? Because I'm campaigning against giving children as young as 7 puberty blockers. And it's like you just said about children being taught to be stressed. Who is giving a child of 7 the idea that they need to change their sex? Well, where's that coming from? It's coming from teachers. And do you know, Jeremy, not only am I not, I've been cancelled by Bangor University. I'm not actually sure if that's a badge of honour for somebody like me. But listen to this. I have been refused a visit into a primary school in my constituency in Runcorn. How disgraceful is that?
Why? What were the grounds of you being what? Because
they
you're
said
a
they wouldn't have
homophobic?
they wouldn't have a racist politician.
So let me put this to you. You're a Reform UK MP. How do you answer the people, the critics, not just in school, maybe in the media, this perception that Reform is run by racists, misogynists, homophobic people who want to just do this right-wing thing? How do you answer that? You're an elected politician. What do you say to those people?
The reason that we get called racist is because we want to prioritise the interests of the British people. And to do that, one of the things we have to do is secure the borders of this country. We need to stop the boatloads of illegal asylum seekers coming in. And the fact is that those boats are full of young fighting-age men coming from countries like Eritrea, Sudan, Afghanistan. Now, because we are saying that, we are labelled racist. It is not racist to want to put the interests of the British people first.
Listen, there's many parts of what you said that I completely agree with, and I think that there needs to, I mean, you talk about the disconnect. Somebody said to me the other day, right, so you've got my wife's best friend's 6-year-old being taught stress lessons. You've got kids in universities, and I know this for a fact, being told that Great Britain's responsible for every war and we need to pay billions of pounds and we're an absolute frigging disgrace. And then in the middle, you've got the understandable worry that people who are 13 right now, 12 and a half, will be able to vote for the next Prime Minister. And you look, and it was true. And you look, I mean, I'm the only age I haven't got a child, 12 and a half, 13. But the truth is, if you're talking about indoctrination, this is what concerns me about where we're at. If you can't open your mind, because, I mean, those students at Bangor, they'll put their T-shirts on saying Free Palestine and they'll bugger off to Mallorca with their parents at half-term because they don't actually believe in anything. They're being indoctrinated. And I think it's fundamentally concerning, whatever your political persuasion, if you can't open your mind to other... Listen, we started today with a newspaper review with the Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, Matt Vickers. He's a friend of mine and he does his bit. Interestingly, and I should give this to you because we will give anybody and everybody a platform on this show. Yesterday, on the back of all the stuff with Starmer, my team, God, I sound like, anyway, they contacted, emailed over 200 Labour MPs. No one will come on. No one will come on. It's not it's not a democracy, it's rubbish.
But do you know what? As an elected member of Parliament, you should be able to go onto any show, and if you believe in what you've stood for, then you should be able to go on and make your case. I would happily go on to, and do go on to, more left-leaning media. Of course I do. And I get attacked, but I will stand firm and I will stand by my views. And those weak Labour MPs should have the courage of their convictions. And do you know what? That's what makes Reform politicians so different, is that we will go out anywhere, loud and proud, and talk about what we stand for. I will go to Bangor University and face up to those students. I will go to a debate like I did last week on another a competitor to you, and get attacked by Labour and Lib Dems. But I will do it because I absolutely believe in what I'm saying. And those Labour MPs should man up and get on this show and tell people why, they are standing on the ticket that they're standing on.
Listen, great to have you on. We love having you on. Thank you so much indeed. The First Lady of Reform, Sarah Pochin, Reform UK's MP for Runcorn and Helsby. Straight to College Green, live at Westminster. Andrew Bowie, MP, former Energy Minister. Andrew, no coach, you brave man. How are you?
Yeah, that was a mistake. Right. But anyway,
Are you freezing?
happy to be here.
Bless you. Andrew, welcome.
Yeah, getting there, yeah.
Welcome. I have to ask you, there's so much to ask you, my friend. Yesterday was one of those extraordinary days in politics. We started with Starmer holed up in 10 Downing Street. Not a word from the Cabinet. Sarwar, the Scottish Secretary, puts the boot in. The Cabinet fall in line. Then we had the unedifying spectacle of Wes Streeting looking weepy, saying, I know my messages to Mandelson end in kisses, but I think he's a vile man. How long can this government last, Andrew?
God, you know, frankly, I just wish Labour MPs would put the Prime Minister and his top team out of their misery. I mean, yesterday was so unedifying from start to finish. You know, poor Anna Sarwar out there on no man's land, jumping over the trenches with nobody following. Yeah, Wes Streeting's messages, as you said, the kisses to Peter Mandelson, and yet, you know, never close to him. You know, he was a bad man, and the whole thing, you know, really feels, I think, to the British people, you know, quite unedifying. And so, yes, Labour MPs need to, you know, get on with it, put this Prime Minister out of his misery, so the country can move on, because we can't have many more days like this in British politics.
And as you said, you know, and I've been saying it all morning, whilst this, and I'm being honest with you, Andrew, there was so much drama in your party at the end. I mean, you know, how many Prime Ministers a week you could change, and I always think about the British people. You know, our public services are shot to pieces, our borders are being infiltrated, crime is everywhere, and all that we see increasingly is a bunch of argumentative MPs bitching, moaning and briefing against each other, and the British public, I think, are genuinely at the end of their tether, and I think it's dangerous. I really do.
Yeah, look, I completely agree with you. There is a huge difference between where the Labour Party are today and where we ended up after 14 years of government. You know, Labour have managed to get themselves into this position within a year and a half of being in government. People forget that, you know, we first saw David Cameron resign, wasn't pushed out, voluntarily chose to step down. After 6 years of Conservative government, it took another 2 and a bit years for Theresa May. Yes, things happened quite quickly after that, but Labour have got themselves into a situation where you've got briefing and counter-briefing, you've got allegations, you've got, you know, calls for the Prime Minister to resign, complete lack of confidence in the operation within a year and a half of taking office. And let's not beat around the bush. This has come about as a result of the fact that the Peter Mandelson appointment was just the latest in a long list, a litany of bad judgment calls being made by this Prime Minister, be that the winter fuel allowance decision or the family farms tax or giving away British sovereign territory in the Chagos Islands to 2 disastrous budgets that's seen unemployment go up month after month after month. So the Peter Mandelson appointment, as bad as it is, and it is horrifically bad, is just the latest in a long line of bad calls by this Prime Minister. Couple
of questions for you. Christian, my producer, excellent man, made a point this morning that I think is very relevant, which is if there are calls on Keir Starmer, well, Morgan McSweeney fell by his sword for suggesting that Mandelson was good. People are saying, quite rightly, you made the decision, Keir Starmer, you should go. But surely 24 hypocritical cabinet ministers who are either protecting themselves or got threatened with the general election, they are now complicit, are they not, in saying, well, we support a man who employed a mate who was best friends with the world's worst paedophile, for God's sake.
Absolutely, and the number of them that came out, by the way, in support of that appointment.
Yeah.
Knowing, even if they didn't know about Peter Mandelson's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, I don't believe all of them did, but they did know that he had to be sacked twice from the British government before this. So they knew about Peter Mandelson, they knew it was a risky decision to make, and frankly, they all look so weak. The coordinated tweets being sent out yesterday in support of the Prime Minister, obviously threatened with a general election or being removed from their positions. You know, David Lammy spent 14 years trying to get that chauffeur-driven Land Rover. He's not going to give it up just like that. So I think that it is it's unfair on the British people that there are people in the cabinet right now who know that this Prime Minister needs to go, who've got huge questions to ask of the Prime Minister's calls, be that on the appointment of Peter Mandelson, the appointment of Morgan McSweeney, the appointment of Tim Allen as Communications Director, the appointment of Chris Wormholt as Cabinet Secretary, all of whom have now had to leave their posts. But the man that took the decision to appoint them in the first place, he remains, and apparently got the full confidence of his cabinet.
Yeah, but Andrew, he's never, ever, ever lost a fight. Never lost a fight. Can I just ask you...
apparently so, in his entire life.
Yeah, apparently. Can I just ask
As an Arsenal fan, as he is, I find that very hard to believe.
Do you get free tickets like he does?
Oh no, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but he is, and they've got a propensity to throw away the title every year.
I think he must know. I think he must know the time's up, because Piers Morgan said, "I know you're an Arsenal fan, but it's time to go." Final question. I'd love the Tories' view on this very quickly. Overnight, this scandal, which is engulfing all of us, well, not all of us, but dominating the news channels. The King's finally come out and said his profound concern over Andrew's claims, and the Thames Valley Police investigation into Andrew potentially doing what Mandelson did, which is give state secrets away. They would support the police. Yeah. These are difficult times for the British monarchy, and they need to be as transparent as they've never been before, don't they, Andrew Bowie?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think we all support the King and what he said yesterday evening, in that they stand ready to assist the police with their investigations. What Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is alleged to have done, if it is proven, is deeply damaging to this country. It could potentially be illegal. So therefore, the British monarchy is absolutely right to offer to work and be as transparent as possible with the police investigation.
Listen, mate, it's great to have you on, braving the morning chill. Coat next time, but always delighted, and I mean this, we had Matt Vickers doing the papers to get the Tory view on everything. Thank you very much indeed. Andrew Bowie, former Energy Minister, live and exclusive at Victoria Gardens. What is it? 8:28. How busy? Where's the morning gone, Christian? If you're waking up, where have you been? If you're tuning in, thanks for letting me do it here on my own for 2.5 hours. It's all about Starmer, the jockeying for position, the man who is literally clinging on by his fingertips. It's all about the dirty games that are going on. I've set a website. No, I haven't. It's fake news. I've spoken to the man that resigned. No, I haven't. It's fake news. Oh, I've got some love notes from Mandelson. Well, I think he's a horrible man, but he sends kisses to you the whole time. We've got Andrew. He's somewhere on Sandringham Estate wondering if he's going to go to prison, and the King's under pressure as well. It's only 8:30 on a Tuesday morning. This is Talk.
The only thing he could do, potentially, and even this might not necessarily work, is to completely put together, you know, within a day or a couple of days, some kind of all-star team, you know, that the entire Labour Party could kind of get behind. But those people don't exist now. Who is in their right mind, for example, is going to want to be the Director of Communications for Keir Starmer right now, when they could be in the job for a matter of hours?
On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 8:32. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Talk, the home of common sense, the home of the alarm clock. Britain, thank you for making this the speech radio station that is listened to for longer than anybody else. That's not made up, that's a fact. And we appreciate the support. Hello to Simon Ashby. Jez, you said you would give anyone a platform to air their views. Has Talk ever had Rupert Lowe on? Yeah, he was on with Kevin O'Sullivan the other day. He's been on this show. I've been waiting but not heard that interview yet. Apologies if I miss it. Listen, we had Ben Habib on. We had Nigel whatever. And I ask the Labour Party every day. I haven't asked Zach Polanski because I'm worried that if Hypno Tits came on the show, we'd be in trouble. But I could ask him. Hi, JK, says Sue from Essex. Roses are red, violets are blue. Keep up the good work and keep it true. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? 24 cabinet ministers want to keep their jobs and their lucrative gravy training income and huge colossal pensions. That's why they're backing Starmer. A new leader would make big changes. Here's a question for you, Simon, though. Does a new leader, although Labour were elected, would a new leader who shifted policy from the manifesto that was elected, they were elected on, would he have or she have a mandate? I don't think they would. I've always said it, and I'll include this for whatever side. I think if a Prime Minister goes, there has to be a general election. Here's a man who knows more about politics than me. Jack Elson, why are you nodding? Look at that. Look at the sun shining.
That's quite a low bar, isn't it, really? You know, so I think actually, I think it should be a bit higher than that. You know, someone that knows politics more than the most guru-like political virtuoso to ever walk the land. But yeah, I'll take more than you as well.
You think you know more about politics than me?
Well, I mean, like, I reckon so. You know, it is my sort of job, which I do about 12 hours a day. But...
And you do it brilliantly, and I'm going to backtrack steadily.
And I would never, and I could never be a TV presenter like you. So
no, we've seen you on television. Yeah, whoever lit your face this morning, you look like you're in heaven, man. But listen, thanks for coming on, Jack. Listen, great piece in the Sun today. Morgan McSweeney is a sacrificial lamb fed to the wolves over Mandelson's scandal. How much longer can Starmer really limp on? Let me throw that straight back at you. How long?
Well, you know, that's the million-dollar question. It could be days, it could be months. I don't think he's got the rest of the year left in him. The problem is now, it is almost exactly like Boris Johnson in 2022, where, you know, he is massively under pressure. There's all manner of scandals. His first few months in office have been dismal. There's often, when you get someone who's twists the knife in, like Anna Sarwar did yesterday, you get this superficial galvanising effect where the Prime Minister and Number 10 circle the wagons and the Cabinet come out and they say, oh, I actually agree that the Prime Minister should stay in post. We don't need a damaging leadership election now. The problem is that the Prime Minister, like Boris Johnson, has now spent every single last crumb of political capital and goodwill that he has, that anything in the future, and there are a lot of danger points, could be the thing which upends his premiership.
Let me jump in and ask you, do you believe, as you're the most experienced political operative we know, few questions, do you believe that he showed a pair and threatened them all with a general election and said, if you don't stand behind me and my mandate, I'll call an election, you'll all lose your jobs?
I don't think in those explicit terms, but Number 10 have been saying one of their sort of trump cards has been a leadership election, and a change of leader will inevitably lead to some kind of general election. So I don't think they threatened them in such terms, but you know, that's always been the threat which has been levitating over cabinet ministers in the Labour Party.
They'd been silent for 24 hours. It was a pre-coordinated thing. I love your response as well to this. Anna Samwa at 2:30, I was at the Reform gig hosting, and they thought, I'm sure, that when that happened, I'm not talking about they Reform, I think most of the country thought that it would fall like a pack of cards. Now, there's an accurate... This is brilliant. It's not as well written as the Sun, I'm just doing that, but it's brilliant this morning in the Telegraph. Starmer clings on after briefing war, Jack, with insiders saying, we know who's behind this, and his name rhymes with Les Wheating. That is on the front of the Daily Telegraph, right? So as Wes Streeting was apparently showing loyalty along with the other 23, rumours were circulating that he and Sanwar had spoken on Saturday and that he might be central to this. Sanwar does it House of Cards. This is what I found fascinating. When that didn't materialise, 3 hours later we had a bleary, teary-eyed Wes Streeting on Beth Rigby's excellent Sky. I mean, I think she's brilliant, Beth Rigby, saying, no, I think Peter Mandelson's a vile human being, and I know there's about 1,000 text messages where we're sending kisses to each other, but that's not intimate at all. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up, man.
To decipher Wes Streeting, you have to see every single move that he makes through the prism of him wanting to have been Prime Minister since he was about 3 years old. And yesterday was just the latest instalment of that. So what did he do? He knows that at the moment, if there was a leadership election tomorrow, he would find it very, very difficult because there are concerns that his relationship with Peter Mandelson was too cosy, too close, and before all those documents are released in the next few weeks, he would find it very difficult to therefore walk a leadership election. He's also not very well liked with large elements of the Parliamentary Labour Party and the Labour grassroots. So what he did yesterday, I thought was actually quite clever in terms of manoeuvre himself towards that leadership election, because one, he got all those messages out in the open. Yes, they were embarrassing, but they weren't so bad, I don't think, that it could kill any leadership prospect. But also, some of those things which he said in those messages to Mandelson, they're going to go down like an absolute treat with Labour members. You know, he talked about how Keir and Rachel have no growth strategy whatsoever. He said that they're not tough enough on Israel. You know, let's not forget that loads and swathes of the Labour activists are very much pro-Gaza and very anti-Israel. These things are only going to help him. And I thought it was a pretty strategic move to release all of those messages. But as I've just revealed on the Sun website this morning, it has sparked absolute panic across Whitehall. What we're now going to see is a massive release from cabinet ministers preemptively releasing their own messages from Mandelson across outside of the official inquiry process, which is going to throw the whole thing into chaos. And so the Cabinet Office's Propriety and Ethics team last night got in touch with all cabinet ministers saying, please do not do this, which puts them now in an awkward position because Wes Streeting has got his messages out there, but the others have been told you can't publish theirs, so they're a bit cheap.
That is why you are much better than me, because we've been looking at it all morning as this was a man whose coup allegedly had failed. He was cornered, and I believed that he was a busted flush. You put a very, very different slant on it. It's quite interesting when I make about the members. When Starmer goes, and I don't think it's a case of if, it's when now, I agree with you. Rayner, this is great. Angela Rayner's leadership website, Jack, goes live as she was giving her full support to the Prime Minister. The domain, Angela for Leader, was registered with the same firm as her parliamentary site, but she came out and called it fake news and nothing to do with me.
Yeah, well, she would, wouldn't she? I mean, her team have said that it's nothing to do with them. They've even accused other camps of having a sort of false flag operation to make her look disloyal, and actually it's come from them rather than her camp. You know, no one's going to know unless you actually manage to sort of, I don't know, track the IP address or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a techie. Like, how you'd even be able to figure this out? But let's be honest. Angela Rayner doesn't need to start a website for us to know that she's going to be running in this leadership contest.
She had a makeover, mate. She had her hair done. That was everything you need to know. But have you noticed?
She is gunning for the job.
Have you noticed who's very, very quiet until this morning?
Are you going to say Ed Miliband?
Yeah, but he's mentioned the Sun newspaper. Have you seen the clip? This is Ed.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Ed on Sky. Millipede. Millipede on Sky News slagging off the Sun. Have a watch.
Are you interested?
Absolutely baloney.
Are you interested at all?
Nope. I've said this before.
No, I know.
Yeah, no, baloney, honestly.
So are you interested in the leadership?
No, I'm interested in supporting Keir Starmer.
Can you rule out running for the leadership?
I'm not running for leadership, no.
Can you rule out running for the leadership?
Yeah, I'm not running for leadership.
I know you're not running for it right now, but can you rule out running for the leadership?
Yes, I'm not going to run, yeah.
The Sun reported a Labour source saying Ed is preparing to run again. He's told people, despite what he says when he's interviewed. Are you lying to me?
Such a reliable newspaper.
Are you lying to me?
Of course I'm not. Don't be ridiculous.
Why do I not believe a word that comes out of his mouth, Jack Elson?
Well, maybe because this is the man that told us he was going to cut energy bills by £300 and they've gone up. You know, if you want to talk about reliability, we could talk about the reliability of the energy market right now. You know, listen, I do think that Ed Miliband, clearly, he tops the polls every time Labour members are asked who they want to be as Prime Minister, because he is a net zero crusading, tax hiking, New Labour acolyte, of which goes down incredibly well among Labour members. I mean, that's totally the case, but as is often the case in party politics, what the members love, the country hates, and that's never truer when it comes to Labour politics. That's why Shabana Mahmood probably hasn't got a cat's chance in hell, because she's actually trying to get through some serious immigration reforms. And Labour MPs Labour members won't stomach it. You're seeing the same thing with Ed Miliband. I do also think that much more than any of the others, if he ever became Prime Minister on the backs of Labour voters, that would spark the biggest constitutional crisis and impropriety, which would have to lead to a general election, because we're talking about the man who was soundly rejected by the British people back in 2015. If he then, on the backs of a few tens of thousands of Labour voters, managed to walk into number 10 and hold the levers of power, that would seem very, very wrong indeed.
I've got a message for you, Ed Miliband. You've right upset the Sun newspaper, mate. Stand back. Jack, I just want to say that you've proven in the last 10 minutes you are massively superior to a turd like me when it comes to political knowledge, and well done, and fantastic to have you on as ever, my friend. What are you doing today? Off to the club in Mayfair for a swim or something?
No, I'm definitely not. I got back from the Commons very, very late last night. So I'm going to be heading in now for another day of high drama, I suspect.
Good man. Great to have you on. He's excellent. Jack Helson, political editor for The Sun. It's almost 9:15. We're live across the UK. Morning, Matty.
Morning, J-Dog. Matty from Doncaster here. I just wanted to give a big shout out to the man, the legend himself, Donald J. Trump, because without him we wouldn't have all this wonderful news we've got at the moment. The left form against him, he releases things that put the left under. The Danish won't give him the Greenland. He turns around and releases things showing their royal princess is in the Epstein files. All I want to know is what's going to come out on the next batch of files after Starmer and his rats have got the sinking ship somewhat stable. It's all going to fall to pieces, and we're just going to have to grab the popcorn. Going to lick my lips and send you a big grandma sloppy kiss. Mwah! Great show, lover. Take it easy.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 9:15. We're live across the UK on the home of common sense, the home of the alarm clock. Brit, thank you very much indeed for tuning in your droves. 0344 499 1000 for your text, your voice notes, of course, and text to 87222. So after yesterday, facing up to his backbenchers, Keir Starmer hangs on by his fingertips. Wes Streeting, I thought he'd shot his bolt with those messages to Mandelson, but Jack Elsom, political editor of The Sun, says it's actually very clever because he's got it out now and he's still steaming towards the belief that he will one day be Prime Minister. Angela Rayner's had her hair done, a makeover, and has got a new website, although it's nothing to do with her about the leader. And the scandal that is Epstein continues to engulf almost every part of everybody's life. Frank, good morning.
Morning, Jezet. Frank from Bingley here in West Yorkshire. Well, what a day yesterday, eh? For Starmer. 1 minute the knives are out, the next minute the whips are out. And all the cabinet are sat there round the table like Stepford wives. It's absolutely pathetic. But I tell you what, there isn't a TV box set out on at the moment that'd match what's happening in politics. I'm loving it. Anyway, by the way, I've booked a table for 2 on Saturday for us for Valentine's Day. So I hope you can play snooker. You're not getting any kisses from me, Jez. I've been married 3 times. I'm done with all that. Anyway, have a good day. Bye for now.
Brilliant. I've been married 3 times and I'm done with all that. So have I. 12 minutes to 9 o'clock. We're live across the UK. Delighted to welcome our next guest, the independent peer and a former Labour MP, Baroness Kate Hoey. Kate, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Wow. What a day, and what a chance to get your take on it. It's interesting to get everybody's take. We started this day with Starmer sort of holed up in Downing Street. We ended up with the unedifying picture of Wes Streeting tearfully saying, "These are my messages to Mandelson with kisses on," and everything that went in between. Accusations. I mean, my favourite line, Kate, I have to say, is the Daily Telegraph this morning that says that they realised that Streeting was on manoeuvres. As Starmer clings on after briefing war, insiders say, "We know who's behind this and his name rhymes with Les Wheating." It's on the front of the Telegraph, for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what comes out of this, and I kind of knew this as yesterday morning, that they would all rally round, because Labour actually finds it very difficult to get rid of leaders. I mean, even when the Parliamentary Labour Party had given out no confidence in Jeremy Corbyn, he still carried on for a long time afterwards. The loyalty issue is actually, I think, probably stronger even in the Labour Party than it is in the Conservatives when it comes to ditching someone. I think also, I mean, the very obvious thing, and I think I'm sure you said it as well, why would anyone actually want to take over just at this moment? You know, I think the reality is that we're going to have the by-election, which probably, well, definitely, I think Labour will lose. It's a question of who wins, and I think that's quite likely to be Reform. And then we've got the May elections. And so the party is going to be in a huge disruption, and the members out there are going to be very angry. And that's when, between now and then, I think there will be a lot of, as we've seen, speculation, a lot of manoeuvring. And we will probably find towards May that there becomes a kind of 2 candidates who are really going to be the ones that the party will choose from. None of them, I think, are particularly exciting in terms of what the country will want.
It's fascinating to get your take. I mean, interestingly, that last call, I mean, you made the joke about the table, if you were listening, because we were talking about let's have some intimacy with the listeners. I mean, you just look at it, and all I can go back to is the current Prime Minister arrived in Downing Street and said the grown-ups are back in the room. We're fed up with this backstabbing, childish political squabbling that's gone under the Tories. And in 18 months, I mean, they really have got themselves in a position, I don't say this lightly, as bad, if not worse, than the Tories. Is he, lots of questions for you, is he a dead man walking, Kate?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, he will not, and I heard one Labour MP, I think it was the Secretary of State for the Environment, saying last night that he would be leading Labour into the next general election. I think that is absolutely for the birds. I mean, there's no way he can stay on that long, because we've seen how many mistakes, in inverted commas, he's made over the last 6 months. So, the chances of him even being able to survive after May, I think, are completely gone. But I do think that the public, this isn't doing Labour any good anyway, even if he did survive, because the public must be pretty fed up with, I know we're all interested in it and the media is interested in it, but the reality is that out there, people they don't know who some of these people are. Obviously, they've heard of Mandelson, but they don't know some of the people that have been mentioned and have left Downing Street. And while a lot of people will be interested, the vast majority of people are just getting on with their lives. And so it doesn't help Labour in terms of the next election or their opinion polls. It'll be really interesting to see the next opinion poll. I would imagine Labour will be down even further than we could possibly have thought 6 months ago.
I think it goes beyond that, and I completely agree with you. And I only want to say that if it is down to 15%, who the hell are the 15%? But here's my point about yesterday. The Cabinet were mightily silent for 24 hours. Then they all fell into line within minutes. It was obviously coordinated. I don't know whether he threatened a general election and said you can all lose your damn jobs. But my producer, Christian, made this point earlier, and I keep crediting him because I think he's spot on. So you've got a Prime Minister who got rid of his chief of staff and his comms chief to try and save his own neck. But the argument yesterday morning was, but you made the decision to give your mate, or the Labour Party's mate, whose best mates were the world's most notorious paedophile, the job of US ambassador. You've now got 24 cabinet ministers who are endorsing a prime minister and are thus as culpable as he has. Because if any of them had any backbone about those victims, about those young girls, surely they would have fallen on their sword yesterday afternoon. I think that's a very relevant point.
Yes, I think that is relevant, and it does show that most politicians in the end put their own personal career prospects and before the country. I mean, I think that's the problem with most political parties. Sometimes that their own party image and what's going on is more important than what's actually good for the country. I think that if one or two had gone yesterday and stood out on principle, then this could have spiraled very quickly. But because there isn't that agreement yet, even an agreement amongst a number of the cabinet ministers together about who might. I mean, I'm sure they're discussing it. I'm sure they're talking behind the scenes now, because they all know that Keir Starmer is not going to be there very much longer. But they haven't got that agreement. And I think there might be one or two dark horses, as they say, coming out. No one's mentioned Hilary Benn. Hilary Benn is a very experienced member of the cabinet. He's not been in the public profile because he's Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, which he's over there a lot and doing a lot of things in Northern Ireland. He could just come out of the woodwork at the end as someone who might see, members might see as someone who's a bit of stability.
What about me throwing somebody else in along those lines? And I agree with you, actually, Kate. What about John Healey? Safe pair of hands? Defence Secretary?
I mean, John, I must admit that John Healey would be someone who I would have a lot of confidence and faith in. I'm not a member of the Labour Party. I don't support the Labour Party at all now. But John Healey is someone who is a very decent, sincere, hard-working member of the cabinet who isn't, and in a very important job, of course, defence, and who isn't, throwing his toys out, isn't making, isn't trying to be in the headlines, which I'm afraid some of the cabinet like to be.
Listen, great to have you on. It's just a story that continues to unfold, and we're delighted to get your take on it. Thank you so much indeed. Baroness Kate Hoey, independent peer and former Labour MP, giving her thoughts on the turmoil that is the Labour government right now. Morning, Pete.
There's only one thing that should be kissed this morning, and that's Keir Starmer. He should kiss my ass.
Brilliant. OK, that's just showing exactly what the country thinks. Let's do some sport,
90
Big M.
in 90 seconds. From The Sun.
Morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Jeremy?
Dan King, Chelsea supporter. I thought you were very lucky to beat West Ham 3-2. Big night for West Ham, by the way, against Manchester United. And big night for lots of managers. Thomas Frank takes Tottenham to Newcastle. Both managers under pressure. Who'd have thought Eddie Howe would be under pressure? He is. Thomas Frank. I'm going to make a prediction. I said it last week. Either Palace or Spurs fall down the table uncontrollably.
I mean, I still think the teams are worse, and I'm afraid, Jeremy, West Ham is probably one of them. But put it this way: if West Ham were to beat Man United tonight and Spurs were to lose, Spurs would only be 3 points away from the drop zone, and then things do get desperate, and you wonder whether the owners will press the button. Yeah, it's a real kind of sink or swim game tonight at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is strange for Eddie Howe to be under pressure. Less than a year after ending that long wait for a domestic trophy for Newcastle, but things just haven't worked this season. You wonder how much the whole Alexander Isak saga helped them, but I think there's also still question marks. The new CEO Hopkinson has been talking big about how by 2030 we're going to rival Real Madrid, but we're not really seeing much evidence of that in terms of huge progress on the stadium.
I think that Eddie Howe, we haven't got much time, I'd love more. I think Eddie Howe will be the next England manager. Joe Cole backs Carrick to stay on full-time as Man United. That's typical, isn't it? It's too soon.
Well, I think I think the point that Joe makes in the piece I've written is that he's got to keep getting the results. But if he gets the results which get them into the Champions League, and bearing in mind the fact that he does have a special connection with the club, he understands what it is to play under pressure at Manchester United. Why wouldn't you take him? And as you said, there are people in the past, people like Zidane at Real Madrid, who never pretended to be a genius, innovating coach like Guardiola, but was excellent at gauging the temperature of the club, making big decisions and managing big players. Why not go for Michael Carrick? Because let's face it, they've tried lots of other things. Why not try him?
Dan, I wish it could be longer. We thank you, though. Dan King, Sun Sport. Get all your information there. Come on, the Hammers later. News at 9 is next.
Union block vote will be a huge constituent part of who gets elected. Also, the Labour membership will be further to the left, even than the Labour Parliamentary Party. I think all roads lead to Rayner. Now, she's got some tax issues to deal with and sort out, but if she gets that out of the way, I would have thought that it's hers to lose.
Will the country be better or worse without Starmer? I mean, you're saying Rayner might be there, Ed Miliband potentially. Is it going to be a brighter future without him, or is it going to be even worse?
Things can only get worse.
Hello from Crowborough, where the local residents are enraged with what has happened to their community merely overnight, when just 27 single male asylum seeker illegal migrants were bussed into their military training camp. Behind me are local residents, people from all over the country. Shabana Mahmood has said that this is an effective way of getting rid of those expensive, flashy asylum hotels. But unfortunately, these people are still placed within the community.
Whole town is very afraid because these are unvetted men from countries that are, the government warn us not to go to. I've got an 18-year-old daughter and she gets the bus opposite camp. Do you feel safe for her? No, so that will have to stop. Right. We'll either have to wait with her or take her to wherever she needs to go.
The reason we're here today is because I live in Crowborough and my family, I've got a wife and children, and just worried about, my wife walking to work and my sons, walking about. Anything can happen, kind of that nowadays and age, what's going on, what's happening in this country. So I'm just concerned and frightened, you know.
There was support from other towns, other communities, because of course Shabana Mahmood has threatened other communities, and she said they're going to open site after site after site. Well, I would hope that if she's going to try and do that, she learns some lessons about the way she's done it in Crowborough, because this is not finished. We are not finished objecting to this plan.
Grover says no! Grover says no! Grover says no!
We would urge her to reconsider, and whatever she does, she needs to talk to the people that she's imposing these things on.
If you had a direct line to Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood, what would you say to them?
Look after your most vulnerable first. It's your priority to look after your vulnerable.
If they're bringing illegal immigrants into a camp in the dead of night, why are they doing that? They're doing that because it's disingenuous, it's dishonest, it's covert, and they're trying to keep the reality away from the local community of what they're actually doing to us. We've now got to the end of the entrance to the camp, we've got cameras, we've got police drones. It's like a cloud that's come over this community.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. Just gone 9 o'clock. We are live across the United Kingdom on Talk, the home, of course, of Common Sense, the home of Alarm Clock Brits. And thank you for making this radio station listened to for longer than any other speech-based radio station in the UK. It's not made up. That's a fact. It's 9:05. Oh, my God, it goes on. This hour, Robert Jobson, the royal editor, will be here as more revelations in the last few minutes from the Epstein files. I'm not going to say too much, but it's unbelievable. Did you hear that story in the news? Having 3 cups of tea a day decreases your chances of dementia. How many have I had? I've forgotten. 10? Something like that? Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm all on it. Listen, Starmer clinging on. The Cabinet complicit now, are they not, in supporting a man who gave the best mate of the world's most notorious paedophile a job? Rayner, I know there's a website saying Labour for I want to be the leader, but I didn't make it. But it's on the same as your parliamentary site, love. Are you lying? Wes Streeting, he got it out quick, didn't he? That didn't sound right. But what I meant was he got out his personal messages to Mandelson last night. Lots of kisses and lots of intimacy. It's all going on. We have the chairman of Reform UK, David Bull, in just a tick. Morning, Russ.
Morning, Jezza. The best way that Starmer can get out of this record of being the worst Prime Minister that we've ever seen is to resign and get Millipede in, because he'll beat his record. Thanks, Jez. Have a good one. Russ, love you long time.
You see what's happening this morning? I just said, you know, if Wes Streeting and Mandelson can be intimate, just be intimate. And it's all gone a bit wrong here, isn't it? Heather, morning.
I love you all the while. With your cute little wave, will you promise that you'll save your kisses for me? Save all your kisses.
Great, the world's gone nuts. We say a very good morning to the legend that is Dr. David Bull. Is he in a flowery shirt? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, young man. Welcome to Birmingham. So nice to see you yesterday. And can I just say thank you so much for hosting an event in an impartial way. And can I just say, to have 2,500 people in the NEC in Birmingham at 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon tells you everything you need to know about the state of British politics. Would you not agree?
I do agree, and I'll tell you what's come out the show this morning, boss, without any factual... This is totally on a line to you. So many people are saying, well, this shenanigan is taking place whilst there's backbiting, whilst they're fighting for things that really matter in this country, the infiltration of our borders, the lack of police, a series of public services in their importance on a daily basis are being ignored. And hard-working Brits are going, hold on a minute, can you lot concentrate on what's going on? But these stories won't go away, will they?
No, they won't. And that's what I'm hearing on the doorstep the whole time. I'm off campaigning in Manchester, actually, later on. But when you knock on the doors, people are sick and tired of what is going on. They're saying, look, here we go again, another psychodrama from yet another party. So there is all this infighting. And actually, yesterday, we were talking about this, weren't we? The fact is, we didn't know quite what was going going to happen and what was going to unfold. And so certainly when we got that message that Anna Sarwar was about to call the press conference, we all thought, right, here we go. Now, clearly, there were more people, this is my take on this, there were more people lined up. There was a domino effect meant to happen. Now, we then talked about the Welsh leader. That was what I was hearing yesterday here, that she was going to come out and also call for Starmer to go. We also heard about 3 cabinet ministers. And then, of course, it all changed. Now, the question is, what then happened next? So is the case that actually it was Wes Streeting who then bottles it? And then you and I were talking about this. There was the PLP meeting, the Parliamentary Labour Party, at 6 o'clock. Now, we don't know what was going on in that. But did Keir Starmer threaten them with a general election? And that is my feeling, because actually that's the nuclear button. If he called a general election tomorrow, and I would say this, wouldn't I? He would lose. They would lose. And so that for them would be the nuclear button. Many of those MPs hanging on by a thread. Let's look at Wes Streeting. His majority is about 500. He will lose.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't think we could stoop any lower. A paper that I read often, the Daily Telegraph. I mean, this is on the front this morning, David, right? Starmer clings on after briefing war, with insiders at number 10 saying, we know who's behind this and his name rhymes with Les Wheating. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's the Daily Telegraph. So there were lots of different ideas, and I just put this to Jack Elstrom. I'd love your take from a reforms point of view, because I thought probably, I don't know, you know, he was behind it, Wes Streeting. It went horribly wrong. The Cabinet probably threatened by Starmer or the number 10 operation fall into line in sync in a minute. And then Streeting's left out in the cold and then thinks, oh, my God, if I've still got any ambitions left, I'll tell you the best thing I can do is get sacked. But I also need to get out that Mandelson and I were quite close, because I don't know if you heard Jack Elstrom say this, but last night other Cabinet ministers were thinking of releasing their messages between them and Mandelson, and the Cabinet Office have said, no, we don't want you to do that. So you could look at it, Jack said, that actually for his teary little appearance, have you seen his appearance on Beth Rigby, by the way? Have you seen this?
No, I didn't see it, actually.
And for anybody tuning in, Wes Streeting, having allegedly led the coup, by 6 o'clock was tearfully sat in front of Beth Rigby. Have a watch.
There is a lot of genuine intimacy here and friendship. You know, Wes to you, to Peter, great pitch, lovely photos in the time Peter sends you a kiss. There's well done on the BBC. This is Peter Mandelson to you in June 25. I'm literally reading them as I go along. Well done on the BBC, very good kiss. Are you planning to visit the US this year? You hope so, exclamation mark, kiss. Are you embarrassed by that? I mean, that's quite an intimate friendship, isn't it?
No, look, an intimate friendship. With Peter Mandelson, look, I'm very happy to...
But there are dozens and dozens of messages here.
And people will be able to read them.
Where do you come on this? Do you believe that he was cornered, or do you believe that that was a shrewd move to get them out there, David?
No, he was cornered, wasn't he? This is, make no mistake, this is very calculated now. So Starmer is in power, but he's completely lost control. So the question is, now all of those players are now trying to work out the best way to put themselves forward. So as you say, Angela Rayner didn't set up a website, which clearly exists. Then you've got Wes Streeting. He's decided that actually he'll publish everything and put it into the public domain so that he's on the front foot. I read them this morning, and there are kisses. I mean, it is quite, if you're bored this morning, do read the messages, because it's really quite enlightening, the relationship between the two of them.
And it said that he has this relationship, seemingly this control, or had, Mandelson, over almost the entire Labour cabinet and the operation. There were rumours, were there not, that some months ago he was sort of ushered through the back door to help McSweeney with the latest cabinet reshuffle, and Starmer was, asleep in his bed? It's unbelievable, man.
Well, and also just remember that, of course, that Wes Streeting is the protégé of Mandelson.
Yeah.
So then we go into what happens next. Now, the question is, how does Labour recover from this? And actually, I will come back to the bigger point, which is actually the country's in free fall and the government isn't doing anything about it, and people are sick and tired of what's going on. And I've said this, I think I said it last week to you, that if you were to design a manifesto to pretty much clobber everyone in this country, you would come up with what they've done. They've clobbered small businesses, farmers, you name it. They've clobbered pensioners, the winter fuel allowance. I mean, it is a catastrophic disaster. And Sarah's point is really valid, because the longer that Starmer stays in power, the higher we go in the polls. So in many ways, we don't really want Starmer out, but I do for the benefit of the country.
Yeah, but you say the benefit of the country, but you're absolutely right. Would it be worse if it lent massively to the left? You look at Rayner, you look at Miliband.
Well, that's right.
And that will. I think I don't care what. I mean, I respect Jack Elsom. I disagree. I think that Streeting has shot his bolt. But here's an interesting thing as well. And as the chairman of Reform, you would have an opinion on this. A lot of people have said, oh, those Conservative MPs have defected to Reform. There should be an election. And they've said, no, that's not going to happen. But here's the bigger question. If a government is elected on a manifesto, and in the midst of that term, elected on that manifesto, they decide to lose that leader and bring in somebody else who changes the direction of the party, how the bloody hell can they still have a mandate?
I agree entirely with that, because if you remember, also they lied, didn't they? They said they wouldn't increase tax, VAT, national insurance, and then did quite the opposite of that. But actually, that shows pretty much what happened at that election. They had no plan for government. I laughed this morning when they were talking about change. It's the only word they know, plan for change. We're going to change. We've learned. You know, they haven't learned. They haven't learned. They need to go. But you're right. So if the party, and this is where I was getting to with this, Wes Streeting is not liked by the unions. He is seen to be too progressive to the right. So Angela Rayner would be the bookies' favourite in terms of the unions. Now, if they then veer dramatically left, I agree with you. That is not the government that people elected. And bear in mind that actually Keir Starmer didn't really get a huge thumping majority. The number of people who voted for him was not that large. It was really a vote against the Conservatives rather than pro-Labour. So if you then go to a socialist agenda, I think you have to then say, well, hang on a minute. Is that what people around the country want? So therefore, there should be a general election. And actually, I think everyone around the country wants a general election. I said this to you yesterday. Nigel and I have said that election is going to be in 2027. We are now on a general election footing. So yesterday, we opened the website for people to apply to become a parliamentary candidate. And I'm really, really keen on this. I want people who've got real life experience. Wouldn't it be great to have a doctor in charge of the health service? Wouldn't it be great to have a farmer in charge of agricultural policy, for example? Someone who's worked in business, you know, someone who's run a business to actually look after the interests of businesses, both small and large, in this country. And when you look at the cabinet as it is, not one of them has run a business.
No, I agree. Now, a couple of questions that people have put to us, which is really interesting. We've got Sir John Curtis on in just a tick.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at what's happening, not just in the Gorton and Denton by-election. We'll talk about the candidates in just a tick, as we must do. He says, and I quote, the reform may have hit its popularity limit with voters. What do you say to that, David?
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I love John. He's great. He's a fantastic pollster. But the fact is that they have said this all the way along. Yesterday, when you interviewed me, I said we were polling at 2-3%. We got to 8-9%. We reached our peak, apparently. Then we got to 11-12%. We'd reached our peak. We're polling at what? 28, 29, 30, 31, 32%. So I don't believe it. I just simply don't believe it. And the British people are shrewd. One of the other things that you've got to bear in mind is we have shy reformers. These are the people who may not declare how they're going to vote, but then in the intimacy of the ballot box, or with the ballot box, or in the booth, they will then decide to cast their vote. So I don't buy it.
Are those undecided or secret voters, as they're named, and I get this, are they really the players that all political parties are aiming at? They used to call it the red wall, the people in the middle of England. You've got your base, Labour's got a base, the Tories have got a base, whatever. Is it those 3 or 4 million who haven't shown their hand that you tend to focus on as a political party?
Normally, but I think all political rules have disappeared out of the window. I am seeing such a vociferous change across the country. You know, in northern England, where I am much of the time, I'm seeing people who traditionally and tribally vote Labour saying, there is no way I would ever vote Conservative, but we will vote for you. When you look at the collapse in the Labour vote in Liverpool, now in Liverpool it was 80% voted Labour. That is half. They are down to 40%. We're up to something like 30% in Liverpool. So I think actually all those old rules don't apply anymore. So we're starting to see a huge tectonic shift. People have realised that the two monolithic parties have let this country down. And it's all very well for the Conservatives to say, well, we're going to do things differently. We're going to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. You were in power for 14 years. Why didn't you do it?
This is from Maisie in Kent. Great question. And I asked this yesterday. How are the old guard in Reform adapting to the new guard in Reform?
Is that me? I'm the old guard, am I?
I'm the old guard, but it's an interesting question, isn't it? Because a lot of people have been critical that your party's taken, is it the retirement home for Tories? People have made the point from Reform that actually the people that have joined both stepped away from government, blah, blah. But what's the reaction amongst the old guard of MPs to this new influx, David?
So with I built a company and we're essentially doing the same again, which is that as you grow, you have to have measured growth. And one of the things that I'm very keen on is that anyone who joins our party has to believe in the mission and the vision of what we're doing. You have to subscribe to everything we believe in. And all of our magnificent MPs do exactly that. Now, one of the things that we are keen to do is to build a very strong team. But to get into government, and once we are in government, and I have no doubt that we will be, you need people who actually know how government works and, quite frankly, how it doesn't work. And that is what Danny was saying, which is actually he has experience. He understands how there are some very good civil servants, how there's some very obstructive civil servants, and how to get legislation through. So, look, if you go to a general election tomorrow, we would go from having a small number of MPs to having something like 373 to 400 members of parliament. That is an enormous shift. But make no mistake, to get to that stage, we need brilliant people to come forward. We are going to thoroughly vet all of these people to ensure that they subscribe to all our values and missions and vision. And then we will put them forward to the electorate, and the electorate will decide the best way to vote.
It'd also be interesting, just going back to that John Curtis comment as well. There hasn't been an opinion poll since the debacle of yesterday.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see. I mean, the Green Party have done quite well recently. It'll be interesting to see on the back of that day for the Labour Party, where I think almost everybody is still waiting for. It's not if, it's when, isn't it? Now with Keir Starmer,
Yeah.
How that impacts and whether that bounces up either political party. We know you're doing a fantastic job, mate, and you take time in one of your garish shirts. You look like Mark Dolan looked last Friday.
What's wrong with this one?
Well, no, it's all right. It's quite bright, though, isn't it?
Well, it's a bright morning, not.
Good man. Listen, thank you so much as ever. God bless you. Be safe. He's in Birmingham, mate. David Bull, chairman of Reform, put it to him. Have your figures plateaued? No, he said. No, they haven't. The old guard, the new guard are mixing together. He's very positive as he heads forward. Sir John Curtis, who said that Reform might have plateaued, on this show next. We'll talk about the Gorton and Denton by-election and the bigger picture, just as we should do. These are the rules. I have to tell you the full list of candidates who are standing in that February the 26th by-election in Gorton and Denton. Nick Buckley for Advance UK. Charlotte Cadden, who we had on the show last week from the Conservative Party. Dan Clark for the Libertarian Party. Matt Goodwin we had on last week as well from the Reform UK Party. Sebastian Moore, Social Democratic Party. Joseph Omichair, rejoin the EU. Jackie Piercy from the Liberal Democrats. Hannah Spencer from the Green Party. Angelique Custodia from the Labour Party. Hugo Wills, the Communist League. And Sir Oinkalot from the monster-raving Looney Party. Very important point. And I say to all the candidates there, Matt Goodwin's been on, Charlotte Cadden's been on. The door's open. Come on, tell us. The Green... Why won't the Greens come on? Green and Labour won't come on. Argue with me, disagree. You are as welcome as anybody else to come on this show. Morning, Kitty.
The thing I'm worried about with Wes Streeting and with Mandelson is that this government seem to have scandal after scandal, increasingly worse, and they just blow over and they just disappear. There are so many things we could look back on and ask what actually happened to that. Anyway, I don't know. Keep up the good work. Smooches.
Jimmy Lai's crime, as you know, Julia, was doing exactly what you're doing now. It's the crime of journalism, of telling the truth, of asking politicians difficult questions and watching them squirm if they can't answer it. I'm afraid that's essential to democracy. It's not an add-on, it's not an extra, it's absolutely fundamental. And if that's a crime, then you simply do not have a free society. And all of this puts a complete lie to the Sino-British Joint Declaration, which is supposed to apply for 50 years in Hong Kong.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
And welcome back, 9:25. The Queen of Westminster, Julia Hartley-Brewer, sounding fantastic, is here from 10 o'clock, and Ian Collins from 1, live across the UK, on Talk, the home of common sense, the home of Alarm Clock Brits. And I'm going to keep saying it because I want to. Thank you for making us the speech radio station that is listened to longer than anyone else. Look at me in the eyes. It's a fact. Morning, Paul.
Hello, Jeremy. This is Paul from Cambridgeshire. Great show, by the way. Watching the shenanigans yesterday really reminds me of that old adage that turkeys don't vote for Christmas. That may be true, but we now also know that chickens don't either. Keep it up. Cheers. Bye.
Very good. No kiss. Neil from Rochdale. Morning, Jez. It genuinely feels like squatters' rights are in play at number 10. They need to do the honourable thing and call a general election. Dave in Bristol. Les Wheating. Grown-ups back in the room. I've never heard such a childish, infantile attempt to implicate someone without appearing to directly name them. The whole lot of Labour are pathetic, incompetent. It is hypocrisy. P.S. I'll send you a kiss, but actually the only kiss I want to deliver is to kiss Starmer and Labour goodbye and consign them to the dustbin of broadcasting history, or even political history. Great. We are going to say a very good morning to Elliot, who's in Bushey. And Elliot, do you know why Bushey is famous for me?
No, why?
It's where I was conceived.
Oh, well, it's a wonderful place. Look, I've got to tell you, the ramifications and implications of this I don't think are seen. It is my humble opinion that this has gone too far. Charles, the royal family, you've only got to listen to Andrew Lowney. He's been given death threats for his book. It is my view there has been a complete cover-up by the monarchy. This is a terrible thing to say, and I'm a monarchist.
Yeah.
It is my view that the Queen, of all people, they knew about Andrew's business activities, never mind his sexual activities. This is an absolute disgrace to the country. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough for Charles to say, if we're approached by the police, we will help. That's completely wrong.
What do you want? What do you want from our monarch? Earlier on, hear me out. Hear me out. Andrew Loney, hear me out. Andrew Loney, earlier, I put something to Andrew Loney. If you didn't hear it, I said to him, is the silence so bad? Is the clamour going to grow that our monarch, and I've had this suggested to me, it might be the end of his reign and he might well have to abdicate and pass the baton to his young son who can start afresh. What would you say to that, my friend?
Well, you've taken my thunder, because I said to your colleague before I rang, it is my view that the only way now to resolve this is a complete break. Charles has to abdicate. I can't believe I'm saying it. He does. William has to take over, and they have to clear out the rubbish. And I mean by the rubbish, the absolute lies. These women were coming to the palace. What? There were no security logs. There weren't people checking. Where were the security officers? This is all nonsense. They must think we are so stupid. I am so disappointed. And what does this mean for the country, the fabric of the country? What does this mean for the Commonwealth? What does this mean for the actual dependent nations? It's my view that if he doesn't abdicate and William takes full control, this is the end of the country. This is the end of the monarchy, our heritage, our culture, and our way of life. And we will just become a pathetic little island, which we are in the process of becoming anyway, because of these awful people, the lack of leadership. But it is the monarchy, the people at the top, who are meant to unify our constitution, who I believe, I have no evidence, it's everything I see and everything I read, And perception is reality. They have let us down, and I'm going to say, allegedly, led us astray and covered up. And I mean, heaven forbid, the Queen and the reverence we had for her and all the family. Charles has waited 70-odd years to be king, and this is what he's got.
Well, I have to say, there are many people, I have to move on, Elliot, but there are many, many people who agree. There was the unedifying sight yesterday of... Have you got that clip? I just want to play... I want to speak to Robert Jobson, by the way, before 10 o'clock, the royal editor. The King was on a walkabout in Clitheroe in Lancashire yesterday. Just watch and listen to this, because this, I think, is going to happen more and more and more.
Charles! How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you been protecting Andrew from prosecution?
And my point is this. A YouGov poll out just now says that 51% of Britons believe that the royal family, the senior royals, should have done more to condemn Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. My question to all of you, ahead of Robert Jobson, get your questions in, is, does this mortally wound the King? Would William be a fresh start? How much more does the monarchy need to do? Last night, Charles, I think under pressure because his son had made a statement before landing in Riyadh, said that actually we would act if the police approached us. I am totally with Elliot. I am a monarchist. You can all laugh at me. My old man, I tell this every day, worked for the Queen Mother for 41 years. But I genuinely think this is a seminal moment for the British royal family. And if they have known more, I think the silent majority of people are going to demand that they come out and say what it is. I don't think window dressing will do. Just gone 9:30. My next guest, delighted to have him on as well. The polling expert, the guru, the professor of politics at the University of Strathclyde, Sir John Curtis. Good afternoon. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning to you, Jeremy. Fine, thanks very much.
God, I bet you lot in the polling world had an absolute joyous day yesterday, didn't you? I've got so much I want to ask you. A YouGov poll out, this is brilliant, say that only 22% of Brits believe it's likely that Starmer will be Prime Minister by the end of this year. I don't know who that 22% is, because most people that listen or watch this say he's a dead man walking. What do you say, John Curtis?
Well, I mean, I think certainly while Keir Starmer managed to weather yesterday's storm, essentially instigated by the call by Anna Sarwar, the Scottish Labour leader, for him to resign, the underlying problem, which is that Keir Starmer himself is not very popular, that the Labour Party itself is not very popular. It's running at just 20% in the opinion polls. And the concerns, as a result, Labour MPs have about the Prime Minister's ability to turn things around between now and the 2029 election, those doubts will still be there. It does mean that Keir Starmer is going to continue to be under pressure. Now, in a sense, he's got an opportunity. He's got an opportunity because of what happened yesterday, that he's certainly acquired some time. I think it's also clear he's always, one big advantage he's got is that there isn't an obvious successor, somebody who is popular, who can unite the party. Rather, the party will be heading for a pretty fractious leadership contest if he were to go down now. So that helps him out. But the crucial thing now is whether or not he can finally in this reset address what people have regarded as the fundamental problems of his leadership, and that is a lack of leadership. That is, he isn't somebody who's been able to convey to the public a sense of what he believes in, what his government is trying to achieve, what kind of country it wants to create. All we've ever got from Keir Starmer is we're here, we want to reverse and repair the damage that we believe the Tories inflicted on the country between 2010 and 2024, but it's never gone further than that. It's been a constant complaint about his premiership. We have seen in the the publication by Wes Streeting of his interactions with Lord Manderson while he was ambassador. Wes Streeting clearly trying to get the dirty out early. That might affect his leadership chances. Them sharing the observation that there is no economic philosophy for this government. The question is whether or not Keir Starmer can finally do something about that, and therefore perhaps begin to instill a degree of confidence in the public about the way in which he's running the country. That his thin chances of being able to remain Prime Minister in the long run, frankly, rest now on that project.
Many think he'll be gone sooner rather than later, and most people that we've spoken to today and yesterday say when, not if. Let's ask you from a polling point of view. One of the things that you talked about, which I just put to the
Sure.
chairman of Reform, was that you believe that Reform's popularity has levelled out. You talked when you were last on with me about the impact that Zach Polanski's leadership and the Greens has had. What are we looking at nationally? There actually, interestingly, hasn't been a poll, has there, since yesterday with the shenanigans, as you put it, that's gone on. How do you see that impacting? How do you see that impacting?
Well, there hasn't been one since yesterday, inevitably. There have now been 3 since the Mandelson story became headline news, which I really date from about the Monday of last week. One of them has Labour down 1, one of them has Labour up 1, and the most recent from YouGov today has no change. I don't think we should be surprised. The point is not that this is some sudden storm whereby people's views about Keir Starmer are suddenly being changed by the Mandelson revelations. He is already so unpopular. The Labour Party is already so unpopular that therefore I don't think we necessarily anticipated that this would make things worse for Labour, and I'm not sure even yesterday is going to make things much worse. They are already in such a poor state. Now, turning to Reform. Reform, they're running at the moment on average in the opinion polls in January at 29%. And the truth is that they have been running at or close to 30% on average in the opinion polls on a continuous basis ever since May of last year. Now, if that isn't a plateau, I don't know what isn't. It's a plateau whereby they're ahead of everybody else, at least a 9-10 point lead. And I would perfectly agree with David Bull, who had on earlier, that at the moment, if there were a general election, Reform would probably win an overall majority. That, I suspect, explains why he wants there to be a general election soon. But if you look at the character of support for Reform is running at around 50% amongst those people who voted for Brexit. It's running at around 10% or less amongst those people who voted to remain inside the European Union. This is very much a party that has successfully appealed to a niche market in our society. And the truth is, all our parties now are minority parties. They're all appealing to niche markets. Now, if you bear in mind that basically only around 40% of people these days will tell pollsters that they would vote to stay out of the European Union, and if you reckon that it's pretty much difficult for a party to get absolutely all of them on board, 30% seems to be, and the evidence so far is that, likely to be the peak, unless Reform can widen their appeal. And I think that means the party coming up with much more to say about the economy. At the moment, what do they talk about? They talk about, yes, Brexit. They talk about immigration. They talk about their scepticism about equalities policies. They say we should be proud of Britain. These are all tunes that appeal to the niche market that they've already got. If they're going to go beyond that market, they have to be able to tell us, how are you going to actually make Britain's economy grow? How are you going to make people feel better off? Because that, which is also an important part of the current public mood, is something where Reform so far has seemed to have much less to say. Just very quickly before we finish, the Green Party under Zach Polanski showed great growth. What's happened to them? Well, the polls, frankly, are not entirely in agreement. I can find you a poll that puts them at 10, and I can find you another one that puts them at 16. But on average, it's running at about 13%. The rise seems to have stopped. But, so certainly so far as Labour Party is concerned, it's one of the reasons for their woes. So, yes, around 1 in 8 of the people who voted Labour in 2024 have now switched to Reform. But equally, 1 in 8 of them have switched to the Greens. And Labour's problem is that they're being squeezed by both directions. But in effect, Nigel Farage and Zach Polanski between them are one of the reasons why Labour's position in the opinion polls is so dire, and why Keir Starmer's hold on the leadership of his party still looks relatively tenuous. It's great to have you on, my friend. I'll finish with one very quick question. It's a very short answer. When do you think Starmer will go, Sir John Curtis? He's clearly, unless the results in the May the 7th elections are an awful lot better than we're anticipating, there is likely to come a crunch moment in the summer of this year. And unless those results are markedly better, that's the point at which perhaps Labour MPs will decide It's time to turn things around without the immediate prospect of elections, perhaps contemplate the prospect of a leadership contest in a way that they clearly weren't willing to do so yesterday.
Great to have you on, my friend. Thank you so much indeed. Polling expert Sir John Curtis there on Talk Breakfast, 20 to 10. Morning, Ashley.
You know, I'm just listening to the chat talk about the monarchy, and I couldn't agree more with him. His passion for what he's saying, and he's absolutely right. He needs to go, Charles. We need a clear out and a start again. Ashley from Stalybridge, great show.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Breakthrough on the Talk Breakfast Show, 20 minutes to 10, and I'm not talking about the biscuit that's halfway down my throat. Can I salute my next guest? God, it's so bad timing, isn't it? The Labour MP for Blackley and Middleton South. We contacted 200 Labour MPs, none of them prepared to put their head above the parapet, but my good friend Graham Stringer has. Good morning, sir. How are you? Brilliant.
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, there was a slight delay there, Graham. I thought you'd turned off the volume and buggered off back to the House of Commons. We don't have a lot of time. I know you're a man who is honest and straight. He's a dead man walking, despite what he said to the PLP last night, isn't he, Graham? Keir Starmer?
I don't think... I wasn't at the PLP last night. I'd had a long-term diary commitment. But from talking to colleagues and reading about what happened, I don't think it changes a thing. The fundamentals, what's wrong, are that we're not delivering on our promises, both in the spirit of the campaign to win the general election in 2024, we were going to be ethically superior to the Conservatives, and we were going to deliver a manifesto. In both of those areas, we're not doing as well as we should be. So I think the Prime Minister will be judged against that and how the electorate consider it when they come to vote in the Gorton and Denton by-election and in the elections in Scotland, Wales and local government.
So for the general public to get an idea of what's going on inside the Labour Party, let me give you a view. Yesterday morning, he's hanging on by his fingertips, holed up in Downing Street. The Scottish leader, Anna Samwa, at 2:36, the knife in the Daily Telegraph report that it was part of an effort by Wes Streeting. They'd spoken at the weekend. Apparently, I mean, I'd love to know this. I mean, we've now got 24 cabinet ministers who have fallen in behind a prime minister who's in trouble because one of his mates, a man who's got his tentacles all over Labour, Lord Mandelson, whose best mate is the most notorious paedophile in the world. Naturally, people are going, why did you employ him? You've now got 24 cabinet ministers who are as complicit as the bloody prime minister is. Surely the Parliamentary Labour Party, as you said, are going, the look for a government that came to power and said, the grown-ups are in the house, Graham, we're going to do this correctly, after all the sleaze and all the trashy stuff that went on under the Tories, it must be, and take this the right way because it's a compliment, to a hard-working backbench MP who fought for years to get into Parliament and then to get into government, it must really, really rankle many on the backbenches, doesn't it?
I think it does, but on your first point about the members of the Cabinet supporting the Prime Minister, I think that's a move without significance. If you're in the Cabinet, you have to support the Prime Minister. There's collective responsibility. So it is just stating the constitutional obvious, really. And going back to the PLP, I don't think anything changed yesterday, but you're right, there are many disillusioned Labour MPs, some of them in government, some of them on the backbenches, because this government isn't doing as well as it should be. And this is an opportunity, if the local elections and the Gorton and Denton results go against us, to reset that. And the future of the Prime Minister is obviously involved in that. It's a tough job being the Prime Minister, and I don't think there's any shame really in saying that he's not done it as well as most of us expected. So obviously his future is tied up with those election results in Manchester and across the whole of Great Britain.
As the media sort of squall started yesterday and everybody was like, he'll be gone by the end of the day, they're going to fall like cards, I kept saying, and I'll put this to you, are you a football fan, Graham? Do you like football?
Manchester United.
Oh, get
Season
off.
ticket
We're playing you. We're playing you tonight, West Ham. Oh, God. I'd have to have a Man United fan on, wouldn't I? But here's the truth, Graham. Right, listen. Is it not fair to say that however you dress this up, in football analogy, right, a manager leaves and the next two games are Arsenal, Man City away. You don't want to take over until those games are gone, do you? Why would anybody, this is why I think he's still in power, why would anybody, however manipulative and how devious they're plotting, why would you want to take over before the by-election and before the May elections? Because everybody, if you believe the polls, says you're going to be wiped out. Then you can start afresh. It would be ludicrous to take the job now. So I see a party full of cabinet ministers, be it Miliband, be it Rayner with a website that doesn't exist but does, be it Streeting with his intimate messages. They're all circling the wagon. But it's not a case of not being ready. I think it's a timing thing. I think they're waiting and going, you've messed this job up, we're going to fall on our backsides, you can take the rap and we'll start again.
Absolutely right. Nobody would want to take over in the present time with what looks like going to be very negative results in Manchester and across Great Britain. Nobody would want that. If it goes as badly as the polls are predicting, then that is when the crisis will happen. I think the media got it wrong, saying that there was going to be a coup in the last 24 hours. The Labour Party's notoriously bad at changing leaders, particularly when there isn't a crisis. So I think I agree with you that the real crisis point for the Prime Minister and for the Labour Party, for its future and for the country, is in May, after the elections on the 6th of May.
Just to finish, my friend, and I mean this, I really appreciate you coming. And you said, I thought was interesting, your opening line was, we promise to be ethically superior. I know you're not going to say, but I'd like to get some chance to ask you. When he does go, who's the next leader in your mind?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. There are the names in the newspapers. It could be a safe pair of hands, people who aren't being talked about, but all sides could coalesce around, because
John Healey, I said it earlier.
Yeah, or it could be somebody who most of the public haven't heard of yet, who has come in.
Hilary Benn.
For a safe pair of hands, possibly. But somebody that the public haven't heard of, who's had a successful career in something else, who could move across quickly. Party members will judge this on who they think is most likely to give us a good result in the next general election. And they would want a wide range of people to choose from in that.
Listen, mate, your honesty is refreshing, and we appreciate and sticking your head above the parapet says a lot about you. Graham Stringer MP for Blackley and Middleton South. Thank you so much indeed for joining the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show on Talks 10 to 10. We're live across the United Kingdom. Morning, Phil.
Good morning, Jeremy. Are we saying that the ministers condone what's been happening with Epstein, Mandelson and Starmer's decisions? That's very interesting. By the way, look forward to seeing you popping up later on. I'll leave the back door open. Kiss.
That's slightly worrying. 10 to 10, 0344 499 1000. Get the tea on, Damien. It's been 40 minutes. I'm drier than the bottom of a parrot cage. 87222. Start your message with the word talk and a kiss, of course, because we're being intimate like Mandelson and Streeting today on the show. We're going to say a very good morning to a man who I haven't spoken to for blimmin' ages. This man is the voice of reason, author of The Windsor Legacy, the royal editor, Robert Jobson. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm very well, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. We've got 5 minutes. I find myself in a slightly weird position. You know more than anybody, my friend, how much of a royalist I am. Yesterday on the show, we were talking about how there needed to be some communication. We saw the Prince and Princess of Wales make a statement before Riyadh last night. The King saying, and I quote, unprecedented actions, profound concern at the allegations against Andrew. And if we are approached by Thames Valley Police, we stand ready to support them as you would expect. I didn't think I'd ever ask you this. Do you think that's enough? Because I fear it might not be, my friend.
No, I don't. I think that it doesn't deal with accountability. The reality is Prince Andrew, has to give evidence to the Congress, He has to this committee, and he has to answer some questions, because otherwise he's having a deep impact upon the royal family. And the royal family, you know, we have to look at the seriousness of this. The fallout of this is that this has been going on, you know, that we know about for like 16 odd years. In that time, millions have been paid by the royal coffers, by the late Queen, Her Majesty, we understand, to a victim, plus all of Andrew's legal fees. Now, obviously, you know, she was blindsided or blinded by a love of a favourite son, but or that he lied to her and she believed him. But the fact is that the institution is involved in this as well as Andrew. We need to know what the institution knew, who knew, and when it was known. And if they are culpable, then they have to have some accountability too. I mean, and it pains me to say this, but the King has got this on his watch. It's not really the King's fault, because at the time that this started to unravel, when Andrew was telling his lies, and we know they were lies because it's been proven by the files, the evidence that came out that he did go and see Epstein afterwards and was in cahoots with him after he said so to Newsnight. The reality is the King has inherited this, and the Queen allowed it to continue. Look, it's a complete mess. But the only way you can deal with this now, I personally think the King has to give a statement. I think personally that Andrew has to be told, get out of Sandringham. You know, you're on your own now, because ultimately you can't have him holed up at Sandringham on a private estate. It seems wrong. It seems like you're protecting somebody, and it does also. And I add that the money that was paid out to the tragic Virginia Giuffre Roberts, who tragically took her own life, seems like hush money to me.
I have to say,
I think that we are in a serious problem here.
What's really refreshed me this morning is I felt really strange saying what I've said for 2 days, because you know how much I adore the royal family.
I think the royal family is an important
to hear you say it verifies it for me. I listen. The legacy of the Queen will last forever. Yes, blindsided, but unfortunately, did you see that clip yesterday when the King was heckled? Did you see it?
Yeah, and I think on that front, I do believe, and I don't blame Republic for doing this. I do believe that the heckling and all is probably engineered by Republic. I don't think it's just from random people. I think there's a campaign going on behind the scenes. You know, we had at Dedham, there were a load of things printed out that the local councillors were on their knees picking up off the floor. Look, the King is not very well. He's doing, I think, as best a job as he can. But my goodness, it does seem to have aged him. I mean, you know, the poor man, you know, he's got enough on his plate. His brother is really let the whole side
But
down.
if you let him loose, Robert, if you let him loose, you're right. He's sat in Sandringham not defending, but paying for him, and he's out of the spotlight. But there are people, quite rightly, in very bad positions in this country who are going, you've done all of that and you're still being protected. I'm going to ask you two quick questions. Can you see a situation where the ex-Duke of York will go to prison? Because I think Mandelson's going.
Well, if he go, I mean, I think it's very hard to prove the case against leaking that information in terms of monetary gain, or I mean, that's quite a complex case. But it does seem to me that the role of his envoy just showed that he was obviously sending these emails, probably being boastful. I don't know if he was necessarily looking for payment from it, and that's quite a difficult case to prove. But isn't it shocking? Isn't it shocking that when you've got 9-year-old girls mentioned, 14-year-old girls mentioned, 15-year-old girls, 16. And frankly, it doesn't matter if they're 17 or 18. These are involving men that are in their 40s and very powerful people. When you've got these people involved in this case, that it's going to be on a leaking information that's sensitive, government information that could actually nail Mandelson and it could nail Andrew. The reality is there's one woman in prison at the moment, one woman involved in a clearly awful sex trafficking, grooming of young girls cases. At the moment, one woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, who sounds like a pretty awful woman, but the fact is she's the only person who actually in prison.
Robert, I could talk to you forever, man. I could talk to you forever. I've run out of time, but great. Please come back. Completely agree with you. Robert Jobson, author of The Windsor Legacy on Talk Breakfast.
It is the slow political death of a prime minister. I don't really feel sorry for him. It's his own grave misjudgment. You know, anybody with, I mean, if he's this forensic lawyer, how on earth could he not see that Peter Mandelson is a catastrophe, is a disaster, and that it happens again and again and again? So on a human level, you think, well, it must be quite tough for him. But on a political level, given much of what he's done, I don't feel sorry.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Listen, thank you so much indeed to the A-team, to Christian, fantastic, to Big M, to the G-Spot, because we can never find him, Damien, and to the Neha. I always get her name wrong. She's fantastic. Julia Hartley-Brewer, the Queen of Westminster. Good morning.
You've got the A-team. What have I got? A+ team. Thank you very much.
Oh, don't be like that. We're all a team here. Oi.
Oh, they're all upset now.
Oi. We're a team here, yeah? That's quite important. Listen, thank you very much indeed. What an extraordinary day yesterday. What's she taking,
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it was just sort of, what's going on? I just love the fact. My favourite thing is it started with, if you're a Prime Minister,